Welcome to Armchair Expert. I'm Dan Shepard. I'm joined by Emmy-nominated Monica Mouse.
Oh, what a moniker I have.
What a Monica
What
you
a moniker.
Today we have just a beautiful buddy of ours.
Yeah.
Justin, love you long time. Justin Long is so sweet and talented, and he did your favorite thing, which is
Double
impersonations.
Oh, he is incredible at impersonation.
He's a bit of a mimicking savant.
Yes.
His Vince Vaughn gets me. So few people can do Vince Vaughn. You know Justin Long from Dodgeball, Jeepers Creepers, Accepted, Live Free or Die Hard. You probably just know him because he's super funny and he's cute as all get out. And he has a new podcast, which I'm on and you're on.
That's
he's
true.
on ours. And his podcast is called Life is Short with Justin Long. Life is Short with Justin Long. So please check that out, all the places you would get a podcast. Please enjoy Justin Long.
He's an armchair expert. He's an armchair expert. He's an armchair expert.
I haven't seen you in a long time, but
Yeah.
I feel like I've been hanging out with you for the last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
No, because I've been so into the podcast.
Well, I feel that way about you regardless, though.
Oh,
not
that's nice.
listening to your voice frequently. First of all, it's very flattering that you listen to the show.
Oh, I love it. I love it. You have such honesty. I mean, you've heard this. You have such honesty and vulnerability, and it's very attractive. It's a very
Thank
attractive
you.
quality. And I wish Monica were here, so I'd pay her a similar. I'd love the two of you together. My favorite part is the post-show, the
Fact check. When we
Yeah.
really roll up our sleeves and argue with
Yeah.
one another.
But it's great. You have this. It's such a perfect comedic dynamic. You also sound like a bit like cartoon, like inviting cartoon characters.
Oh.
You have kind of a melody to your voice, and it's inviting.
Ooh.
And she has a kind of a cute little. She sounds like the little.
Miniature mouse.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, that was one thing I was going to say to you is that I'm envious of your kind of vocal control because what I've never been able to do. I did a few episodes of King of the Hill.
Yeah.
God bless them.
How fun was that?
And I think that's just because they like me. I don't think I necessarily did a good job, but I've always been pretty subpar at like cartoon voices, voiceover stuff. And you're fantastic at it. And as is my wife. I live with Michael Jordan of that.
Yeah.
Do you find though that when you oh, God, I don't even know where to start with you because I first of all, I'm just...
Can I take my shoes off?
Yeah, you can take everything off. What if because Monica wasn't here, we just did it in the nude? I sincerely would. I would just to do it.
Why not?
But do you find that when you were younger in your career, you had more bravado in that you would take bigger swings? Or do you feel like you're consistently still willing to go out on a far limb?
Oh,
still?
you see, I would say the opposite. I would be more inclined to swing more now. Swing harder now. Back then, especially the beginning, you're limited obviously by what people are willing to put you in.
Right, yeah.
Idiocracy was kind of like that, where I got to do little character parts. And
yeah.
I really missed that.
Yours is in a two-way tie for me with Camacho for my favorite.
Oh, fuck.
I mean, your thing was so funny.
Terry was great.
Oh,
everybody, but what you did in that was you made it. It wasn't a caricature. It was this ridiculous character, really dumb guy. But you felt for him. I mean, that's a feat.
Well, thank you.
A guy who's like really into farting and jerking off and like watching out.
That's based on a real guy that I knew in high school.
No kidding.
He talked like that, and his uncle had a tow truck. And he was always out hooking with his uncle on the weekends. And this guy we opened the trunk of his car, and there was a fucking deer head in there. Like every story ended with...
You go right into it.
Every story ends with like they find a carcass or, his uncle crashed into something. Just a ragtag.
We flipped over the fucking deer head, and there was an antelope antler in there, we think.
It was a very polarizing performance. Like people tend to hate it or they like it.
You?
Yes, me, Frito, in Idiocracy. And do you know that movie came out in 2006, but we made it in 2004.
Yeah.
And it sat on a shelf for a long time.
Yeah.
Well, one of the things the studio had thought, the character's just so terrible. We got to get them to fix it. So they sent Mike and I to an ADR booth, and I had to loop
No shit.
my entire fucking performance in a normal voice.
What?
Which was even worse because I'm not great at ADR and nothing matched. And
oh my God.
yeah.
Because they thought it was so too extreme. It was
or just annoying that he had a lisp, I guess. I mean, I understand. Like, people, they like it or they.
Well, I love it.
And I had happened to be doing like a couple episodes of King in the Hill, and I had read that script, and I was like, I brought it up to him at lunch, like to Mike, like, oh my God, I fucking love that script. Well, it was 2000. What was it called then?
It was 3001.
But anyways, I was like, I really want to audition. He's like, I was picturing more of like a, like a slob. And so I was like, well, just let me audition.
Big beefy guy.
like a big beefy. So I was like, just please let me audition. I did this character at the Growlings Forever. I think it might work, blah, blah, blah. And then I auditioned, and then it kind of ended, and he was just like, well, this might work. This might work. And
I can't believe you say you're not good at voices. That's a great judge.
well,
it's hard to do.
he's one of like a handful of people I could do.
This might work.
But you did him too. In fact, when we were doing that movie, you and I spent more time, I think, talking to each other like Mike Judge.
Yeah, but I asked him if he'd do my outgoing message.
I remember this.
Yeah, and he messed up the first time. He was doing Beavis and Butthead, and he was like, you've reached Justin's phone.
Leave him.
Oh, sorry, I kind of messed that up. Like halfway through Beavis,
he's Hank Hill.
And I wish I kept that,
Yeah.
I wish I kept that one. But I had that on for so long, and I used to do dumb outgoing messages where I would do impressions of people and try. And I had a friend call up, and he said, after Mike left that Beavis and Butthead one, which was actually Beavis and Butthead, obviously, my friend was like, not your best.
Oh,
not your best work.
So I was just newly sober. I got sober for Idiocracy. Okay.
Huh.
I remember being very jealous of you because you were having a fucking party.
yeah.
You were having a great time.
Well, I was only doing one day.
You're right, but you were in Austin,
Yeah.
and we were hanging out with Mike, and
I got to do coke.
right. And then that night that you got him to do that,
Yeah.
I was with you guys that night.
Yeah.
And then I peeled off because it was time to get going.
I didn't know you were sober then. Oh.
Yeah, and then so you guys got drunk, and then I saw you, and you're like, oh my God, I got Mike to do my outgoing message. I was like, this is what I'm missing.
Yeah.
I could have an outgoing message from Mike if I had fucking gotten loose at the bar with everyone. I just remember going, oh, this guy's he's having so much fun. And
Oh yeah, I would never have had the nerve to ask him had it not been.
how many times do you think we've worked together?
I was thinking about this, and I don't. Was it just that? No.
3 things.
What?
I wouldn't have been able to answer that off the top of my head. We were in Idiocracy together. We were in Old Dogs.
Oh yeah. Old Dogs. Yeah.
And we were both in Veronica Mars.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That's right.
Right.
That's right. But we never had stuff to do.
No, I don't think
I
we've
was-
actually had a scene together.
No.
We're going to start at the beginning a little bit. Okay, I'm going to take you back to Connecticut,
Okay.
1978, June 2nd.
I remember. Yeah.
You grew up in Connecticut, and Dad was a philosophy and a Latin professor.
Yeah, he didn't teach Latin necessarily, but he used it a lot. He also, I mean, not to brag about my dad, but I will because I love him. He knows ancient Greek too. He can write. He
wow.
can translate ancient Greek.
No kidding.
Yeah, he's like.
Why was he interested in that?
Good question. He was really into the trappings of Catholicism, like the academic part of Catholicism. So the. When he was a kid, it was like handing out the robes and the tradition of it,
the pageantry.
Ritual pageantry.
Yeah.
And I think as he got older and smarter, he developed his brain. He was a sickly kid too, so he was inside a lot reading.
Okay.
And so that's, I think, where he derived a lot of his value. He was the smart one. You know? I think that was important to him, and not to psychoanalyze him publicly. But
no, we should. But you were raised Catholic as well,
yeah,
right?
very much so. And my dad was in the seminary for 7 years.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, so he was very. I mean, they're quite Catholic still.
So even in his like curiosity about it, it never went as far as like, oh, should we be continuing this? It was just he had an interest in it.
In
Catholicism.
Yeah, as a kid. I mean, he was raised Catholic.
Right.
And then when he went to the seminary, I think it was also because he didn't have a lot of money, so I think there was also a way to get an education.
Right.
Which he got.
And is
that's
the
where he
end
studied.
goal of the seminary to be a priest?
Yeah.
Right.
And you know what's odd? To this day, I'm close with my dad, very close with both my parents, but it's still kind of unclear why he left the seminary.
Can I throw a theory
No,
at you?
please don't.
He got horny. He
Well,
got
yeah,
horny.
yeah,
He's
yeah.
like, what the fuck am I doing? I have all this horniness. I'm
Yeah.
a young man, and I'm going to shut this door forever?
Yeah, he was chock full of horn.
He's a horn dog. Your dad was a virile horn
Thank
dog.
God.
Yes, else we wouldn't
I'm
be
the
talking.
result of that.
And did he carry any kind of guilt or shame for having not gone the full distance?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a thing that I'm sort of exploring now.
Right.
He did, and this is the strange thing too. Both my parents' mothers are still alive. They're 102.
Oh my goodness.
They're each
They're
102.
Italians?
One is Italian and one is part German and
Okay.
mix.
Good. Congratulations on your fucking genetics.
well,
there's no one in my family that's lived past 40. I mean,
Congrats to you.
yeah.
You've made it. No, whether the men weren't as lucky. There's alcoholism and stuff, but yeah. So the seminary, you're probably right. I think he got horny and I think he wanted.
He didn't meet your mom first and then leave. No. He left and then met your mom. Well, it'd be kind of a cool story. It's like he
couldn't stop thinking about her.
Yes.
Yeah.
That would be really good.
She was the reason for the horn. She got him all horned up.
She did the impossible.
Yes.
She woke that thing up.
Yeah.
There has to be a movie where a guy in the cemetery
Yeah.
where the
Pet seminary.
seminary. But there has to be a movie where a guy in the seminary
Gets
met a gal
They must be, right?
and then was lured away.
Yeah.
So you were in church every Sunday?
Yeah. I was an altar boy.
Oh, you were?
We were really into it, serious about it. It was immersive.
Right.
Yeah, and it's funny, all these things now, but obviously all of the pedophilia and all these stories, I never...
You never saw that.
I never saw it.
That's you're lucky for
Lucky,
you. Yeah.
I know. Yeah, but I had a very positive. Monica, you guys talk about adding S's to things, like pluralizing things.
Yes.
I do that myself, and I think I do it because in church I was always trying to get one of my brothers to laugh, and so I would add S's to some of the prayers. Amens. Whenever it ended with something, let us bow our heads.
Hail Marys.
Hail Marys. If you just add that, your voice kind of lingers above everybody
Yeah.
else's. I also did a bit with my friend Craig Geiling, who used to sit on the opposite end of the church, and we would play this game of chicken to see who would rise first and then who would sit last.
Well, when you have the mindset of me where it's like, whenever you're in a situation, all you can think of is all the worst things you could do.
Yeah.
It's such a fertile place for that because it's so strict.
Yes.
And there's so much structure. And it was too much for me. I had too much impulse control issues for it. And we would just get in so much trouble, my brother and I.
I still have that. Even now, I'm in church now. The few times I'm there, and I'm like, oh God, I want to I want to fart, and I want to do things that, like, I want to stir the pot a little bit.
Absolutely. Wake everyone up.
Yeah.
But the one cool thing that I liked about the Southern Baptist thing over the Catholics was, you got through that whole sermon. Mm-hmm. You heard some amens, and it was uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. But then you went to the backyard of the church, and these were Southern Baptists. So there was a fucking sizzler, basically, that was laid out where people made fried chicken and all this delicious food. And then you just, you gorged yourselves. And then it was a party. It was really fun. That part I liked.
And our version of that was donuts. There was a...
Oh, right.
Yeah, donuts.
You're right. Now that I think about it, my Pippi would take us to get some donuts after Catholic church.
Pippi and Bubby, but what was the...
Pippi wanted us to call Grandma Midge Mimi because they're French, and you're supposed to Pippi and Mimi, and Midge was not going for that. She did not. Funniest thing, can I tell you the funniest thing about Midge? She goes by Midge because she thinks her name is so ugly.
What's her name?
Madeline.
Like a beautiful.
That's the most beautiful name a woman could have.
Yeah,
Madeline.
Madeline.
But I think when she was born. Madeline was like a grandma's name.
So she goes by Midge?
So Midge was the way she...
No offense to Midge, but Midge is...
Yes, it's not nearly as pretty
like
as Madeline.
Smudge.
Yes.
Wow.
But you were a middle child.
Yeah.
As was I.
Yes.
And did you occupy the role of like the jester? Were you trying to like make light of...
Sure, yeah. Your brother was, I think, five years older, but... So we didn't have that...
You really fucking listened to this show.
Man, I
really
keep
flattered.
I love it. You talk about like emulating people. It's an AA thing you said, right?
Yeah.
Find somebody that's
got what you want.
Yeah, I sometimes feel like I'm like a patchwork of people.
That you've met,
that I've obviously admired, and I can pinpoint certain mannerisms from this. Doc, are you telling me?
Oh yeah, Michael J.
Fox?
Yeah,
I do this now because he was my North Star.
Right.
He was the Burt Reynolds here. He was my guy, and
I can totally see that being the guy you circled as like, that could be me.
In pretentious philosophy terms, that was like the platonic form of a person. You know, every other person is just aspiring to that, to reach that. He was the fucking coolest. He still is, I think.
And he was like a short guy who was a boss. He stood up for himself, and he got the girl, and he drove cool. And
so I had the first part. You know, all the other things you mentioned I did not have, but I felt like maybe that was part of it because I was unusually short growing up.
Okay.
I was, in fact, in 8th grade, I was the second shortest person in our grade.
Including females.
Judy Woloshin was shorter than me. And I desperately wanted to play football. You know, I had always wished I wanted to be bigger. And my mother said I couldn't play until high school. That was the deal we made. And once I got to high school, I tried out. I was 4'10", weighed 89 pounds.
Oh, boy. For football, you wanted to play.
Yeah.
Yeah. What would you would need to be the kicker or something, right?
Maybe a cornerback. That's what I thought. I'd be a cornerback. I really just wanted to wear the uniform and sit
be with the guys.
Yeah, be with the guys.
Yeah, absolutely. Go to the weight room and stuff.
Right. Yeah.
Snap towels at people.
Sure. All the camaraderie. So I made it the 2 weeks of the training camp. And the rule was if you made it through the training camp, you make the team regardless. You made the JV.
That's nice.
So I did, and I was so proud of myself. It was the hardest thing I'd ever done, and I felt I really accomplished something. And I remember the coach, Richie Magden, he looked a little like Wilford Brimley. He pulled me aside and he said,
"Eat your oatmeal. And get your blood sugar checked regularly.
It's the right thing to do.
To stay on top of the diabetes."
Yeah. And I didn't know what he meant, and he walked away. It was good advice. No, he said, "You know, son, we got a hell of a wrestling squad here." And I said, "Well, I wouldn't be able to wrestle because it was at the same time as football season." He said, "Well, you'll be in your own weight class because no one you'll forfeit most of the games. You'll have a winning record." And,
wow.
He was really trying to sell me on this.
Yeah.
And I
can't believe forfeiting was part of the strategy, that so many people would forfeit because there's no one there.
Yeah, for a high school kid. What a great lesson to teach.
Yeah.
And I said, "Well, I can't because this football season." And he said, "Son, I'm going to be honest, you're never going to play."
Oh, no.
But I expected that,
Okay.
And I said, "Well, yeah, no, I know, but I'll sit on the bench, whatever."
Snap the towels.
Yeah. As long as I got a towel, I'm happy.
Yeah.
But I said, if somebody gets injured, then maybe I'll go in. And he said, "Son, let me put it this way.
Oh, boy.
If we're taking the bus and you happen to be driving separately for whatever reason," he said it somehow like this, and the bus gets into an accident, God forbid, you still
Oh,
want to
my
play.
goodness.
And that feeling where you feel a rush of hot, like the blood.
Embarrassment, right?
I remember just desperately trying not to cry. That feeling of like, do not do this.
Don't give him the satisfaction.
And the embarrassment. There were kids around. I mean, it was, yeah. So I became an actor.
So wait, though. So he basically said, "I can't kick you off this team, but you need to quit this team."
Yeah, exactly.
Woo!
Yeah, I couldn't show up after that. And
were your brothers similarly sized as you?
No, I don't know what happened. I was unusually
So my sweet brother, he was just like you. He played football in high school at 5'1" and 90 pounds. He then had this crazy growth spurt in 12th grade. He's my size, but he was real tiny, and he played. And it was, I remember going with my mom to the games, and it was like not fun for her to watch.
I bet.
It was like she was scared.
It's like Lucas.
Yes, and he was just getting leveled. And
he played then.
He played, and he had a lot of heart, but he just didn't have the size. And it was, I just remember being very impressed with his willpower and stuff, but just thinking, oh God, he's disadvantaged with this size.
That must be terrifying.
Yes.
And you certainly can't say anything.
No, I was virtually his size.
Jeez. Because another thing I admire about you, your fucking recall is incredible.
Well, just for it quits at like 29, I think.
Oh, really? Oh,
yeah.
Interesting.
Which I'm really curious about memory. If there's any science behind, like, is it easier to create memories when you're younger and there's not as much data that you're swimming? Like, does it fill up? I guess basically is my question.
Right, because it bums me out. Sometimes I'll find that I have recall for these the most trivial, like
the names of movies and the actors.
Names of movies. That's even more. That's better than what I'm thinking of, which is like the names of bachelors and who, Ben Higgins is with Lauren Bushnell. I know that. I wish that something more worthwhile were occupying that space.
Yeah, but your brothers, what was the age span?
So older one was 2. He was, if I had to label them, he was the smart one.
Okay.
I was kind of the class, whatever. Little one. I was little, so I was too easy a target to get picked on. So I wasn't really bullied.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. I was too easy to target, but you want to be seen then.
Yes.
So then how do you be seen? I think that informed me.
Did you look up to your brother?
Yes, very much
radical?
so. radical. It's fun. I'm laughing only because if you knew him, you would. He was very. How do I say this without insulting?
He's like your dad.
Yeah, quite awkward. Like, he was
Uh-huh.
friends with a lot of the foreign exchange students.
Okay.
And, incredibly funny, and oh my god, he's great. He's
Yes.
but he socially struggled a little bit. So.
Did you feel protective of him?
Very much so.
Yeah. Oh, so it's kind of a role reversal there.
Yeah. There's another, like, sort of intimidating being on the show because you are so fucking insightful. And I see the way people are like, you get things out of people. Yes, you're right. Yeah, I was very protective. And in fact, I remember the first and last time I went to punch him in the face. He would wind me up because he would get picked on.
Sure.
And so he'd come home and kind of.
You want to feel powerful when
Yes.
you're powerless all day.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you went through the same thing.
Yeah, I hate to admit that I had some bully moments in elementary that I was a bully
I wondered.
because I was, you know.
Well, you've got it from all sides.
Right.
Yeah.
It doesn't excuse it, but I do think that's why I desired like playground time. It was time to wrestle. It was time to wrestle me.
Yes.
If you were on the playground,
Yeah.
it was time to
Wow.
wrestle.
Yeah,
like
I'm
not
gonna
even mean, just like I need to feel like I've got a little say in something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you, I mean, looking back on that, do you ever feel the need to kind of like Billy Madison style, like call up?
Apologize?
Yeah.
Yes. There are two kids in particular I can remember. There is one kid, and it's funny because I want to say that he was complicit in this fight we got in. But the point is I punched this kid in the stomach in the parking lot of my elementary school, and it knocked the wind out of him. And I think it was the first time maybe he ever had the wind knocked out of him. So when he fell down, he was really crying, like very scared. I
What
can
age?
see it. This is probably third grade.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And he was quite terrified. And I remember it vividly. And it's
Yeah.
so fucking sad. I can see him like in a ball, really scared.
Did you feel instant guilt?
I felt bad.
Yeah,
Yeah. Not evolved enough to then apologize like I
Right.
should have. But I did have this really
Yeah.
crazy crisis of conscience in 5th grade because my best friend at the time was Clay Smades. He was the other tough kid in my
great
class.
Yeah.
And I remember saying to Clay in 4th grade, I'm like, I'm not fighting in 5th grade. And he's like, what do you mean? I'm like, no one likes us. They just are afraid of us. Like everyone that's nice to us is afraid of us.
That's amazing that you
And
had
I'm
that.
out. And he was like, what are you talking about? Like, we're in the catbirds. We're running this playground. And I just realized people didn't like me for the right reason. And I then made a change.
That's amazing that you had that, that you were that perceptive.
Yeah, I could just tell, like, oh,
Wow.
they don't really like me. Like,
Wow.
of course I can sit at their table. It was just because
They
I
were
was
afraid of
bigger.
you.
Yes, I was
Yeah.
much bigger than everyone.
Yeah.
Especially, I would imagine, being smaller. Did you were you obsessed with big guys with muscles?
Well, no, but I'm sure that had something to do with the Michael J. Fox thing. I was like,
Right.
because when you think about a guy being cool at that age, that's
Yeah.
got to factor in the way they look.
You can 100% see Michael J. Fox being that for you.
Yeah, I did his show. He did.
I saw that on your resume.
It never came out. They canceled it before my episode.
But what was it like working with the guy that you idolized?
Oh, my God, you don't want to go in too hot. You
Yeah,
wanna-
yeah.
But I also do a thing. I worry that in an effort not to do that, I don't want to pull back too much, and be like, hey,
Right.
too cool.
Yeah.
And be kind of like aloof, or like,
Yeah.
But I was really having to temper my behavior around him for the first couple of days anyway. and
Yeah,
then
you just kind of pace yourself, right? And then when they're like, oh, this person's not a freak, then you unload on them.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. That's kind of my strategy.
Yeah.
So when you did unload on Michael J., what did
Yeah.
you say?
Yeah, that sounds so gross. First of all, he was like, I need a towel. He said, I think he was very appreciative. It was a strange thing because and I don't know how much to say. He was very gracious, but he would get tired in between takes because he's constantly moving. And it's got to be deeply frustrating because he's a master of timing. I mean, his timing on Family Ties is like, there's nobody better.
It's true.
And to now have your whole timing off. I mean, your natural timing is off.
Yes.
I can't. I've worked with some actors who
Older.
who forget lines.
Sure, yeah.
And they have one of two responses, which is, I messed up. It's on me.
Yeah.
I will get better. Either way, it's heartbreaking. But sometimes they'll lash out, And
Yes.
yes, yes.
He was very, very upset you weren't here.
Yes. Oh. Hey.
But what I was going to say is, when you were talking to him,
It's Michael J. Fox.
Michael J. Fox,
okay.
who was his number one,
Oh, you're
who
not
got to be on his show.
The dream.
He was my North Star.
By the way, just audience, Monica has joined us. We're all safe
That's
again.
right.
She's back. Anyways, so when you were talking to Michael J. Fox, the other thing I would have gotten really self-conscious about is I would have been telling him like, oh my God, dude, you don't understand. Like when I saw fucking Back to the Future, I was like, oh my, that's, I would have gone through this whole thing.
Yeah.
And then I would have got self-conscious like, oh, I'm treating him like he's no longer a star, or that's all in the past.
Yes.
Did you like?
Ew, no. It didn't. I wasn't going. No, because he was working. Because I was on his show.
We'll run into people that we like idolized growing up, and I'll stupidly start with when I was a kid.
Yes,
which already makes them feel super old.
Yes.
It now happens to me.
Have you got me? Yes.
I bet for sure Dodgeball. A bunch of little kids probably
totally
loved that movie.
Jeepers Creepers. A lot of people. Jeepers Creepers was in 2001.
And
for me, I hate when people say that. For me personally, it felt like it felt like a couple of months ago. It was So when these grown up people bigger with beards, full beards, say to me, when I was a kid, it was a big what? Yeah. Do you ever? What's funny? One of my favorite is I don't hear it a lot anymore, but a compliment that's prefaced by "no homo."
Oh,
a lot of guys would be like, "Hey, no homo, but I like that thing."
Yes,
you did. Yeah.
It's a bummer because I see their intention and I'm like, oh, you're getting this wrong. Like this is we don't want to hashtag no homo.
I always like to say, no homo. Maybe.
Are you sure? No homo.
Maybe a little. I play a gay porn star in this movie, and I say, "You better shut your mouth, or I'm gonna fuck it." That's my line. And it came from a friend of mine had overheard that once, and I always thought it was the funniest thing. He overheard a guy say to his boyfriend, flirty, like prison style.
Oh,
You better shut your mouth or I'm going to kiss it. And it was, I always thought it was the funniest thing.
It's kind of hot.
It's kind of like angry, like aggressive. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I say it in a movie, and every once in a while people will say that to me. If I'm with somebody, they're always really thrown. Like a TSA guy just said, "Hey, by the way, you better shut your mouth or I'm going to fuck it." The person with me is always weirded out. But I once got a guy say, "Hey, no homo, but you better shut your mouth or I'm going to fuck it."
Oh, no. Okay.
Yeah.
Listen, you surrender the right to say no homo if you're going to say I'm going to fuck your mouth.
There's got to be a little homo.
Yes.
A modicum of homo.
Yeah, you got to be at least a 5 on the Kinsey scale to fuck another dude's mouth. Okay, so now I get older brother, and now what was younger brother? Because generally when there's 3 boys, youngest brother is fucking crazy. Was he a daredevil?
My brother's very low, very stoic. It's the funniest person I know. We write together. We
do.
It's a very arrogant thing for me to say. He's the funniest person I know because he's probably the closest person to me in the world.
That's sweet.
You know Vince Vaughn, for crying out loud. This guy better be funny as hell. I just want to remind you of some of the people you know.
Right.
I think you're forgetting about Ben Stiller and Mike Judge. And
That's true. He is, but he's up there, I would say.
What if I met him and I was like, he is way funnier than Vince Vaughn?
He's very funny. He maybe not as quick and ballsy, and I've never
Alpha.
seen Alpha. Yeah, my God, Vince.
So alpha.
Nights hanging out with
No
him.
homo, but I want to suck his dick all night long. I want to suck his
No
alpha
homo, but I
dick.
want to sit on his face.
I want to 69 him. No homo or anything.
No.
Stay tuned for more Armchair Expert, if you dare.
Because we glazed over something. Mom was an actress.
Mom was an actress, yeah. So my idea of acting growing up, it wasn't glamorous. It was kind of awful. It was running around the city. We couldn't afford a nanny or anything. So she would schlep around the city with us in tow. And a lot of adults like rejecting her and paying. Yeah, it was awful. I hated...
I can't imagine riding home with mom from something where they said no thanks.
I hated it. I hated the way they talked to her. I hated the way the agents... to this day, I'm sure I still have a lot of disdain for people on that part of the business because of the way they treated my mother. And she was the kind of actress where she would, if she booked a commercial every other year, Christmas was a little... It's not like we were poor. My parents provided for us, but she didn't work a lot. I mean, whatever.
Right.
She mostly did theater, and every once in a while she'd do a commercial. And my dad was a teacher, so it was...
It was modest.
It was at one point she stopped acting to become a teacher to make money so that we had more.
Right.
So that's where we were at. But she loved it. I mean, she wanted to.
And so was she encouraging and you pursuing it?
No, she was deeply troubled by it.
I imagine because if she's experienced all this heartbreak, the last thing you want your kid is to go through a ton of rejection and heartbreak.
Crying.
I want my kids to have a big old dose of rejection.
Yeah.
They're fucking, they got it. They're Life O'Reilly over at our house. They have a swimming pool.
It's interesting. I think we have a similar disdain for people with. I have real prejudice against people with money.
Yeah, isn't it silly?
It is. Oftentimes it's confirmed. And when it is, I'm like, oh,
Yes.
I have a thing with Lexuses. Whenever I get Lexi, when I get cut off in traffic, I'm like, fucking Lexus.
Oh, yeah.
Have you noticed the Lexus thing?
Oh, it's always worse to get cut off by a Porsche than a Prius.
Yes.
You're like, that guy's probably a good dude and it's situational. And then the guy in the Porsche, you're like, oh, he's probably on his way to victimize somebody,
Oh, no. That's really sad to hear about Lexi.
Well, maybe I should. Are they a
I don't
sponsor?
have one, and they're not a sponsor, but I want one.
Well, get one.
Yeah,
You know
nice.
what? You should turn the tide for them. You can single-handedly
Set the
That's
record
true.
straight.
That's true.
Monica's a very nice driver,
Thank
a kind
you.
driver.
Courteous.
Courteous, that's the word I was looking for.
You always let people in.
I let people in. I'm
And
not in a hurry.
Can I ask you, do you get frustrated when you let someone in and you don't get any sort of acknowledgement?
It's
I'll
really
pull someone out of the
rude.
car over that.
Yeah.
I know.
It's so hard for me to let someone in. Like, and if I do it, I feel like I deserve like a
medal.
fucking ticker tape parade for being fucking patient.
The Nobel Peace Prize.
That is the difference. You feel like you're doing people a big favor. I don't. I'm like, this is how you drive. This
what
is
a
how
nice-
people drive.
What a nice
Part
way
of
to
it.
see the world.
Thank
It's
you.
aspirational. I really do. I wish I was more like that. But
My brother, for a while, worked at Starbucks in Venice, and he had a weird. His Kinsey too was Elijah Wood. He would text me, and my brother is the least starstruck. He doesn't care about that stuff, and has seen like the sort of the reasons not to care about it. And, but for some reason, Elijah Wood, he was always like, God, Elijah Wood's here, and his eyes are transfixing. He has those kind of like lemur
glass.
sort of- yeah,
beautiful.
Azure. Yes. I was driving down Main Street, and I pulled a Monica, and I let a car go in front of me, and waved. The car was nice, and right behind that car was a little fucking Mini Cooper that was tailgating it, and as I was going, it cut me off taking advantage of my
generosity
of my wonderful, my grand gesture.
Yeah.
And I beeped, and I did a thing that I often do that I wish I didn't, which is I get really sarcastic, like, oh, please, I beeped, and I was like, go ahead, no, they made a big thing about it, and I got a little wave, and I was like, thank you so much, and I did the whole and we're driving behind this car, and my brother goes, he's silent, he goes, and I think that's Elijah Wood in front of us.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, you got to stop with this Elijah Wood thing. It's like getting really weird. You're like seeing him everywhere. And but I was looking at his eyes in the rear view, because the eyes kept kind of like darting back at us. So I pulled up next to him and looked over, and sure enough, it was fully Elijah Wood.
Oh, wow.
And I played back what happened, and I realized that when I beeped and was like, please go, oh yes, I think he thought I was a fan who was like, beep beep, I know you.
Oh, that makes sense.
So the wave he gave me wasn't like, thanks for letting me in. It was like, thank you for watching.
Yeah. I see that you saw me.
Oh, wow.
Message received. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, buddy. See you at
Wow.
Comic-Con.
That's the kind of chance running you can have here in Los Angeles. Okay, so we've had a few guests on here that have gone to Jesuit high schools.
Huh, really?
Yes. Even though I'm an atheist, and the idea of being in parochial schools terrifies me.
Yeah.
It's the best feedback from these Jesuit schools. Did you like yours?
No.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Breaking the mold. Well, there were teachers that I've really liked. My dad taught at the adjoining university, Fairfield University. So we got tuition. We were able to
Oh,
for
that's
free.
lovely.
But no, in fact, I left during my junior year to go to the public school because all my friends were at public school. So I kind of flunked out of the public school, and then they took me back to the private school. So I really shouldn't say anything negative. But the Jesuits were, I enjoyed my experience because there were a lot of characters, and at that point in my life, I was just using teachers. They were characters.
Comedy fodder.
Yeah. So there were some real characters there.
Yeah, I bet.
Some of those Jesuits. Yeah, because there were no regulations.
Right.
I mean, there was Father Barry who looked like he had the face of Homer Simpson, kind of squinty, but red face, bald, angry. You know those guys with like perpetually mean.
For girls, they call that resting bitch face.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah.
They should have a term for guys.
They should. That's why I don't
RBF.
like using it.
Resting
'cause it's
dick
on my
face.
throat.
Resting dick
Yeah,
face.
there you go.
That's nice.
Father Barry had resting dick face.
Okay,
I
sure.
mean, just characters, really fun studies, you know.
So if you flunked out of there, how did you end up getting into Vassar?
Well,
And am I saying that correctly? Is it Vassar?
Vassar.
Oh, thank you.
No, Vassar, yeah. Well, so when the Jesuit school took me back, which I'm really grateful they did because I would not have gotten into a good school had it not been for that. I was really into clay animation at the time, so I was making all these little movies.
Oh.
Yeah, these little like
Stop motion
things. So I think that kind of helped me get in.
And did you love it there?
I did. I loved it. I love it. Vassar was the total opposite of my high school experience, which grew up in Fairfield, Connecticut, which was a very typical suburban. And so the social hierarchy was, typical of the jocks were on top and the rich kids and on down to, and toward the bottom were the theater kids, of which I had become a part of. So the Vassar was the complete opposite. It was the weird theater kids and the improv guys. They were celebrated in this.
Right. And you had there was a comedy troupe at Vassar.
The sketch comedy group that I started doing, and it was so fun. And we just got to experiment. And in fact, I knew a kid there who played. I knew him for months. I knew him for like a whole semester. Cody Kushner. He was a friend of mine until before I found out he admitted to me that he played lacrosse. He was like coming out of the closet.
Oh, right.
He's like, dude, I got to tell you something. I'm actually on the lacrosse. That's okay.
I'm super athletic, I guess.
Yeah.
You're going to find out sooner or later.
Physically gifted.
Eventually I'll take my shirt off and I'm kind of jacked.
But I loved it. I miss it, in fact. I didn't have the money to be going there the way I was going there, if that makes sense. I was really into theater and doing the improv and all that, but I wasn't necessarily learning.
Studying
too much, yeah.
Did you graduate from there?
No. I left after sophomore year. Did you have junior year abroad?
Annika
Study
did.
abroad. I studied abroad twice. I studied abroad at Cannes.
She went
London.
anywhere there were
God.
film festivals.
Oh, cool.
It's the cutest
Oh, that's cool.
stories
really
you've
fun.
ever heard. And they waited outside of a premiere.
Did you really?
We had to beg for tickets outside of the premieres. You'd have to dress up, so we'd be in like formal wear and just begging for tickets on the street.
That's really sweet.
Isn't that endearing?
Because you loved film. You just wanted to be around.
Celebrities.
Yeah, if I'm being honest.
Wait, so what is...
A year ago, she would have said film, but now she
Now
can
I'm
admit.
honest.
Well, you're so honest. It must be hard not to be honest around you.
it's
You make it a
hard.
safe...
It's like it's not tit for tat if she
Yeah.
maintains that she likes the fucking cinema.
I wasn't even in the film program. I was in the theater program, but this was the film, but I wanted to go there. So I just was like, can I come?
Did you ever meet anybody fun at those premieres?
You're in a picture, aren't you? As I recall, was it you and Callie?
Oh, that was the year, but after my freshman year, I went to London to study abroad, and then we saw Jennifer Aniston and Vince Vaughn for the breakup premiere. We saw them setting up for the premiere. We just happened to see them setting up at like 8 a.m.
It sounds like Vince and Jennifer were setting up.
Yeah, Vince and Jennifer were,
Putting the
setting
ropes
out,
out, rolling the red carpet out.
setting out we were like, what's going on here? And they were like, oh, a movie premiere, and we were like, oh, great. So then we just stood there all day.
Oh my
We didn't know what premiere it was. This was Callie and my friend Callie. We stood there all day. I was obsessed with Friends. Obsessed. Then it was Jennifer Aniston.
It paid off. It was worth it.
What a day.
I'm so lucky.
Well, I always wonder, people who wait that long, what do you do for like food and...
Pee-pee
Well,
and
we would take
poo-poo?
turns.
Yeah.
Oh,
Duty.
we did not poo-poo.
No poo-poo.
No, no
Okay.
poo-poo.
No
I don't
duty.
think we peed either. I don't remember that. But we would take turns. I would stay. Callie would go get us food or go shopping. And then,
You'd hold down the fort.
exactly. But we were right up there. We got signed autographs and
Oh,
they
my God.
you really got a
Yeah.
signed autograph?
Yeah.
From both of them or just
I think
Jennifer?
just her.
Yeah, that sounds.
I don't remember. I don't,
That's
I don't know.
that'll be a fun story to tell her. You got to have her on.
Yes.
Yeah, she'd be
yes.
fun to talk
We'd
to.
love to
Yeah.
have her.
But speaking of poo-poo, not to segue,
Yeah.
Please.
I'm wanting to ask you about this. I cannot believe the way you
Wipe my
clean
butthole?
yourself. Yeah.
Well, it's a two-hand operation. You take your
take your-
testicle and your penis.
Sure.
And then you just pull to the side and then you go under.
To the side, you mean up?
up and to the side because you're trying to make room for this arm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you just dance around.
It's amazing.
I know. I've had a few people since that episode say they've tried it.
I'm going to try it.
It's not for everyone.
Yeah. You also have big hands, so to fit them in.
Yeah. At a certain point in my 20s, I was like, why am I reaching behind myself when my anus is right fucking here?
Well, you don't go all the way behind. You'd go it's right there. Look at that.
Wait, so you're side wiping?
Yeah, like Bateman.
Oh, no.
Right
Bateman's
here.
rear wiping. He's going
he's going from the
behind
back?
and then pulling up.
Oh, I don't do that.
You're pulling to the side.
Yeah, side.
Oh, wow. Well, that's
Yeah.
a whole new thing now. Yeah. So you're side wiping.
Yeah.
Which is, we've not even heard of
Do
that
I
yet.
have maybe an elongated taint that allows for this, that it doesn't get near my
Well, I'd love to
testicles?
take a look and
Sure,
tell
I'm
you.
surprised we haven't done that yet.
Okay, so you go to Vassar and you leave in your junior year. And is Galaxy Quest the first thing?
I did a bunch of voiceover. At the time, there was a voiceover that this kind of character, this skate guy.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
it's true, like Mountain Dew. Like that guy was really.
Yep.
So I did a couple of those, I think, like Mountain Dew commercials. And then, you know what I did? I got my agent because I went in for an open call for the show Blue's Clues.
Oh.
So I went in a bunch of times. Finally got it. This is a boring story, but so that's how I got my agent. Was they needed a guy to potentially replace the host. They were going through contract negotiation. What?
You know, I did the same thing.
For Blue's Clues.
For
Are you
Blue's
kidding?
Clues. No, I was very, very close to replacing that
What?
guy. Yes.
What was his name?
Blue.
Steve.
Blue. Oh, thank you. They were his clues, I thought. Blue's Clues.
Steve Burns.
Is that his
Yeah,
name?
yeah.
Blue was the dog.
Oh, okay.
Well, it's a
Yeah.
pre-fact check.
That's right.
no-
That's right.
Exciting.
Real-time fact.
Yes.
No wonder I didn't get it.
Yeah.
I had obviously
knowledge.
no cursory knowledge of whose clues they were. But no, I'm telling you,
That's
I got
crazy.
this close to that. I have to imagine that would have changed the trajectory for both of us.
Yeah.
If we were the next Steve.
Yeah. In fact, I was going back to Vassar. I was on my way back. I was going back to the second semester. I made a bunch of money waiting tables and stuff, so I was going to go back. And they called like the day before classes were to begin, and offered me this holding deal, and it was like $15,000 for 3 months, which at the time was yeah.
What a boatload of money.
I was delivering pizzas. I was like,
You're 20 years old, 19?
yeah, 19, 20, and broke. I mean, $15,000. And I needed an agent. I had sent all my stuff to the agents and never heard back. Headshot from Kmart, and Kmart.
Kmart.
Yeah. And so I called up a bunch of the agencies that hadn't called me back. As soon as I said there was a contract I needed negotiating, hold on one second. I got something on the so. And once I had the agent, because my mom was an actress, I knew how much that meant. I knew how difficult that was to get an agent.
Yeah.
And I was so excited that I turned down the contract. And
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Oh, good for you.
It was one of the only really like ballsy moves I've ever
Yeah,
made.
that's incredible. At the very beginning of your
3
career
months.
to walk away from $15,000
I was so eager.
and knowing you'd have a job that you could go to every day.
Yeah. Within that time, I got a pilot to play student number 3 on a show that was at that time called Stuckyville. It became Ed a year later. But when I auditioned for that, I had come from another audition. First one, I bombed so badly that I was like, I was in such a like, what am I doing? I can't do that, And I hadn't really looked at the sides for the other one, and I was playing this kind of nervous, like I was attracted to my teacher student. I thought the casting director of the first line, I had it, and so there's this weird pause of, and I kind of stumbled into the first line like nervously, and they started laughing. As if it were a choice.
Yeah.
Good choice.
and that's how I got the audition for Galaxy Quest. And I remember going in, and I had never been to an audition like this where there were people I recognized in trying out. I just thought those people got like Eddie K. Thomas and Culkin, Kieran. These people that I knew, and I was like, oh, I have no chance. These people have been in movies and stuff, and so they flew me out to LA. I had been on a plane like once before, maybe, but they were already shooting when I read out here, and I met Sigourney, these movie stars. It was so bizarre.
And you're still friends with Sam Rockwell, right?
Very good friends. Yeah,
Yeah, you guys are bros.
yeah. So I met him doing on that.
I have a very few moments throughout the ride that I feel like gave me a kind of confidence that I really needed, and he's one of them.
Oh, yeah.
He came to a Sunday company show at the Groundlings and then came backstage to tell us how good we were. And I was a huge Sam Rockwell fan, and I was like, oh, wow, this movie star thinks I'm good. I just remember that really being wind in my sails for a while, going like,
Jack was awesome. That was fucking awesome.
Yes.
That was tremendous.
Yes.
That was awesome.
I just couldn't believe I was looking at him say those things.
Yeah,
about me.
isn't that goes such a long way?
It does. And then your next movie really is Jeepers Creepers, right?
While I was shooting Galaxy Quest, I got the summer camp movie called Happy Campers that Dan Waters, who had written Heathers, wrote. And it was kind of like the hot new script, like the kind of a dark comedy, New Line movie, studio movie. And we all thought that was going to be this. We all thought, like, this is it. We're off to the races, you know?
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was so fun to shoot. We shot that in the fall of that year. And but again, movie star. Brad Renfro was a movie star to me.
Yes.
And, So
and Renfro's passed.
Yes.
He was a bad addict. Was he on that movie? Could you tell that he was struggling or not yet?
Yeah, it was tremendously sad. He was 17 and had clearly been so damaged.
Yeah.
And he had a
And
grandmother.
a great actor.
A great actor.
Yeah.
But he would get in his own way. You know, he was a teenager. He was going through but his grandmother would sit in her trailer and smoke Virginia Slams, and she'd just collect his pay, you know, and was never there. No one was there for this kid.
Right.
And we all tried to kind of take him under our wing and calm him down a little bit, because he had so much bravado, so much of that.
Yeah.
And I really loved Brad. I really I felt so bad for him. And yeah.
And the craziest story, I mean, I remember I was sober by then, and I remember that he was spotted on a raid in downtown LA.
Yep.
In what do they call that area?
Skid Row.
Skid Row.
Yeah.
And I just, for me, it was very sobering. I was like, oh yeah, I can end up there. Like people end up there.
People at that, successful people.
That's right.
Yeah, sad.
The whole movie's built around them.
Yeah. So then Jeepers Creepers. Yeah.
Then Jeepers Creepers. Yeah. But still, very early on in your career to end up in a franchise. Were you thrilled? I mean, you did a sequel to it.
I had no idea. It was thrilling to get the lead in a movie. Francis Ford Coppola produced it.
Yeah.
In fact, I remember Rockwell when we were doing that play, he was about to do a David Mamet movie, this movie Heist, and he said, "Hey man, would you run these lines with me?" And I was eagerly, you know, and we were saying these great David Mamet lines, like, I don't want you to be as quiet as an ant pissing on cotton. I want you to be as quiet as an ant, not even thinking about pissing on cotton. You know, these like great Mamet lines. And then he goes, hey, I told him about the movie because I just gotten it. And I was really proud, and I was like, I'm doing a movie too after this. And he goes, he's like, hey, man, let's do yours now. And I said, oh, that's okay. And he insisted.
No, thank you.
Yeah, and he would run that. I remember being so self-conscious because the lines in my eyes of this schlocky horror movie was like, it's coming after us, you know, like run, stupid. But he said to me a very important lesson because I think he sensed that I was kind of down on it, and even though inside, of course, I was so eager, but in front of him, I was like, this is kind of stupid, whatever.
Yeah.
And he goes, hey, man, you got to treat this like it's fucking Hamlet, okay? This is your Hamlet. Remember that.
Yeah.
And he was right. I never forgot. There's a good lesson.
It's the easiest trap to fall into. I do empathize with people who do it. But yeah, it's like all you want is to work.
Yeah.
And then as soon as you're working, all you want is to be in some other movie that you think you should be in. And then you're embarrassed among your peers now. And it's like you lose sight in 1 second.
Yeah. I've let go of a lot of that.
Yes, me too. But it is sad because what you can do is you can rob yourself of this incredibly rare opportunity to like be in movies. Go fucking pretend and get a paycheck and be with all these people and share this experience. And then your ego's evaluating whether it's good or bad. What a waste of fucking time.
This is such a bad time to do this because this is such an interesting thing. Can I
have to pee?
Yeah.
Please.
I think you were.
Yeah, Monica just asked how we know each other. And my memory was meeting in Austin for Idiocracy. But you think...
Yeah, we met, and I don't remember the circumstances, I think, but I remember talking to you about evolution. I think you were playing like devil's advocate with, and I now know that you do believe in evolution, but
oh, sure.
I have a horrible memory. So let me preface this by saying that I seem to recall you defending creationism, and we got into a whole thing.
That sounds very off-brand for me.
It does. Now,
yeah, because
right?
I made the decision. I mean, I'll never forget it. I was kneeling in my grandparent, Papa Bob and Grandma's back bedroom doing my prayers as I'm supposed to. And I just was like, there's no one's listening to this. And then I was like,
What?
Well, but I got to fake it because if there is someone listening to it, I'll be in trouble if I don't. And then I was like,
That's Pascal's
you
wager.
can't fake it if it's an all-knowing God. Why would I ever even try? And I never then tried again.
How old were you?
Like 6.
That's crazy. Yeah, I remember thinking at a young age, because I had an uncle who was a fundamentalist, and when I was a kid, I was really into the Galapagos Islands. I was really into turtles and lizards and stuff and nature. I wanted to be a biologist. That's what I thought I was.
That was Darwin's stop, right?
Yes,
The Galapagos?
yeah, that's where he came up with the theory of because of the finches, and I thought it was so fascinating, the different beaks, and they did different things. I remember talking to my uncle about this, and I asked him about Noah's Ark. Well, because in the Bible they describe the Ark is, and we'll insert it later, a certain amount of cubits, and he said, yep, sure is. He was a bit like Ned Flanders. He sure is, yep. I said, and they had 2 of every animal, huh? Yeah, 2 of every. I said, in dinosaurs, even that? Yeah, sure.
Oh, you bet.
Yeah, so I started describing
Blue
how
whales.
big these dinosaurs were, and he just insisted that this. And it was the first time. I mean, I wasn't like, oh, there's no God. I remember thinking adults can be wrong. This adult is wrong,
Right.
and it was a shocking thing to
And
discover.
again, for me, I would never try to talk someone out of believing in God. I think that's wonderful, people. But I will make an argument that they have the story wrong. Even if there is a God,
Right.
they do have the story wrong. That's a fact.
Or that the story isn't factual.
Or that
That's
the whole thing's
allegory.
always been metaphorical.
Yeah.
It's got to be.
Yeah.
And I love the stuff they leave out, which is something that I talk to my parents about, which is a source of a lot of discord. My favorite being the one about Elijah. They were mocking Elijah. You know this one where they were mocking him? They were calling him like Old Baldy.
Oh,
They called him
okay.
Baldy. And he summoned 3 she-bears out of the woods. The bears mauled the kids to death.
Oh,
God.
great.
Bible.
So justice was served.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the one I always kind of go to.
Okay, but there's like 3 juicy things I want to talk to you about. One of them is, and these are basically things I've been jealous of you in the past. When I met you, I knew who you were. You know what I'm saying? I knew you were the guy in Jeepers Creepers. I knew you had been like the lead of a movie and stuff like that. So the one thing I was jealous of was like, fuck, this guy can drink, huh? Like he can drink and he seems to drink kind of like I did. Like he likes to get fucked up.
I like to go out.
Yeah, and now he's hanging with Judge, and they're getting close, and I got to go back to my hotel room and like fucking journal. I just remember being like, I don't know if jealous is the right word. I just was like, God, I wish I was
That's so funny.
could occupy Justin's space.
That's so weird. I had a similar, whatever that word is, about you because you were doing the role. You had, and I was like, oh, in my mind, I thought you knew Judge so well that you didn't even need to bang. It's like, oh, we're already there.
Yeah, I'm not even interested.
Yeah, I'll see him on a day off maybe, and we'll like meet up at dailies and stuff. But that was my only opportunity to really like pick his brain, you know. And
Well, and then so this carries on though, this trait of yours, which is you're also, and this has got to be my own doing. I know it has to be. It must be my problem. But like I remember, like Vince Vaughn loved you. He loves you. Still loves you, presumably.
yeah, I hope.
You guys did Dodgeball together.
Yeah,
And he like really took you under his wing in
Totally.
ways, right? He took you on the Wild West
yeah.
tour,
He
the
was
comedy tour.
Yeah, he was. I've always felt like he was like a mentor to me.
Yeah.
We had that relationship.
And you were in the breakup. And I just was like, God, all these guys who I wanted to like me liked you. You danced between all these little comedy camps.
Yeah.
Whether it was Mike Judge or it was Vince and Ben or it was the Gary Sanchez guys, like they all like you.
Yeah, wow.
You're so likable. And how do you what's your secret?
Well, you know, it's so weird because on a very base level, I had jealousy might not be the word, but it's so funny. I wrote down a bunch of these things. Like you have this that I want. You have this that I want. And I'm going to find them and read them. You'll like it. I'm not sober with a clear perspective of sobriety, but I wish I were. I'm not married to Kristen Bell, but I wish I were.
Sure.
Doesn't everyone? I don't have kids, but I wish I did. I mean, all these things. But on a very base level, your size and your charisma are 2 things that I've always really wanted.
The grass is always greener.
So that confidence and I wonder if it comes. And I always thought maybe it came from size.
I'm sure
You know,
that I'm sure has
intellect,
a big
you know.
thing.
But with Vince, I think that had a lot to do with our relationship. You know, Vince was, when I'm around people that physically.
He is a monster.
He's a monster.
For people who have never stood next to him.
So when you hug somebody like that, even it's a very emasculating experience, and not necessarily in a bad way. I'm okay with that.
Oh yeah, I like feeling like when I hug D'Onofrio, I'm like, fuck yeah, this feels so good.
Yes,
to be little in someone's arms.
Just taking pictures with you outside. I was literally looking up to you like I was your little buddy, And that's how I feel about your dynamic. I get a sense of you're kind of like the big gregarious guy, and you're sweet.
But it's all false advertising though, because she's boss.
Much bigger
and stronger and more resilient.
But Vince and I had that. I think that we had that kind of, and I think he knew that I looked up to him. And I remember being at I was 21, and at the Chateau Marmont. This is douchey.
No, this is awesome. When you're 21 and you're with fucking Vince Vaughn.
Oh, man. And Vince is holding court. This is back when you could smoke inside. Vince is holding court at a table with Ethan Hawke and Billy Crudup, and you name it. All these like super cool.
And he's out alphaing everyone.
Oh, and he's telling this story, and you got to see, and the guy came in, and now I'm standing there, and I got the other guy, and he's telling this amazing story. But we'd be at this table with all these guys, and I'm just taking it all in, and Vince is telling these stories. My fucking face hurts from laughing. And a girl inevitably would approach the table. Beautiful. Beyond, I'd never seen girls
like from another
like
planet.
Yeah,
yeah. Like the people that Mick Jagger dated.
Yes,
right.
Yes, that I've only seen on TV. Stunning, whatever. Yeah. Beautiful. And their line was always, "Could I get a cigarette?" That was the opening line. Oh. And without missing a beat, he'd still be in the middle of the thing. He'd flip his pack up like this, and he would just offer it to her like that, almost without even looking. And it was the coolest thing I'd ever seen. And they would take it and kind of confused because haven't you seen me? It was like, these were girls that never got throughout their lives to get turned down.
But was that a move of his?
No,
or was he just didn't care about them?
So here's the point about him, which is what's beautiful, I think. He cared so much about the story and the good times. And then they'd stand confused, "Can I get a light?" And he'd Zippo like this, right in the middle of the thing. Zippo.
Light their hair on fire.
Jesus. Still with the story. And then if they did they usually go away, but occasionally they would say, because they're so confused, they would say, well, can I sit down, or some gesture like that? And he would say a version of like, "I'm so sorry, we're just having a good time with the guys here tonight, but I'm sure there are a lot of lovely, if you get out there, I'm sure a lot of guys out there would want to get their hands on you, and they were,
love that.
Oh, it's so sexy.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And they were just so confused. And I remember thinking, I'll move over,
Yeah.
I'll stand up. I've heard this story before. You don't really know Vince. I didn't feel like I knew him until I played Catchphrase with his family, with his sisters, both of whom are. I mean, you think
they're
Vince
awesome.
They're awesome.
Yep.
Victoria. You think Vince is quick. They're all.
They're like, it's just like a little bit higher, babe. I mean, you may be the greatest of all time.
It's so funny, and it's just to sit back and watch those go.
And it says a ton about him that those girls are so involved in his life.
He is so loyal.
Yeah.
Stay tuned for more Armchair Expert, if you dare.
In fact, it's funny you say that about Vincent, about our relationship, because when I heard you talking about to Adam about this, the jealousy about losing out on, I think it was Step Brothers for you, but mine was Wedding Crashers. That was my Step Brothers. I can tell the story without sounding arrogant because I didn't get it, but it was the best
for
audition.
Bradley's role.
Yes, for Bradley's role. Yeah, the alpha hopped up jock. Yeah. No, for Keir.
Oh, no, I was being serious.
I thought you were kidding.
No.
That's so flattering. I thought you were joking.
No.
For the son, for Todd.
Keir, who he was so brilliant in that, wasn't he?
This is the best audition of my life that I'll ever have. And again, I didn't get it, so I can tell this. Yeah. They stopped the tape. They were everyone was laughing so hard. It was very embarrassing talking about it. But and I said, "Oh, should I go again?" And they're like, "Are you kidding? Yeah, what? No, it was great." Hugging me.
Oh, yes.
In the room. Wow. What's your schedule look like?
Oh, man.
And I had just signed up for waiting. And they said, "Are you available?" And I said, well, I'm about to. Did you sign the contract? And it was that.
Oh, wow.
Oh, tell us you didn't sign the contract. No, I haven't yet. Okay, great. We're gonna make it work. Blah blah blah. Hugging the job. So I leave. That was a Wednesday. Thursday, they had to see other people, and there's the thing. The agents and they already set up auditions. Friday, I call nervously. The agent said, "Calm down. It's happening. We're gonna hear today." It's lunchtime. They had a different tone. Yes, Justin, it's okay. They're gonna.
Oh boy.
Yeah, 1 o'clock. I'm calling frantically. I'm not hearing back. And then they started saying things like, those terms where it's like, we think it may be going away from you.
Oh, yeah. They have
like, where's it going? We'll tell it to come back. Wait, it was there.
Yeah.
And
they have all these soft ways of saying like, they're going another direction.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I panic, and I'd done Dodgeball with Vince this summer before, and he had said something like, if you ever need anything, he was so generous. Don't hesitate to call, and
so good.
And so
good.
But I hesitated to do that because I didn't want to, if I wasn't right for the part or whatever, I don't want him to.
You don't want to put him in an awkward position.
And so I called him then, and I said, okay, I got to call the big guns, and now I'm going to need him. And he called me back like an hour later, and he's like, I wish you had called 2 hours earlier. I called, and they had offered it to some guy, O'Donnell. I don't know, and I was like, who the fuck is this guy? And I was so mad. It's so embarrassing to think about. This sounds like bullshit now because since I'm happy for friends of mine who get things that I want. But I, at the time, like,
you weren't there yet.
I wasn't there.
Yeah.
And I was like, who the fuck is this guy? So upset. And I had called my mom. I was like, I'm going to work with Christopher Walken. That's one of the reasons we do that. You want to make your parents proud. And so I remember when, to add insult to injury, when they started shooting the movie, Vince would call me and he's like, you got to come down to set. You got to meet Keir. He's awesome. You're going to love him. The two of you are going to be like two peas in a pod. And it just made it so much worse.
Yeah.
Like, so now this guy's his little like protege. I was like, fucker. And so Vince,
it's like being invited to hang out with your ex-girlfriend's new boyfriend. He's a rat hang.
Exactly. You're going to love him.
Yeah. His dick is so big. He lasts so long.
Well, how does that benefit me? No, I'm just telling you.
Yeah, you'll be happy you saw it.
So when he wanted me to do that comedy tour, Vince called me, and I knew Keir was doing it. I showed up, with a real chip on my shoulder.
Uh-huh.
And I'm not kidding. Within 5 minutes, we were doing bits, and we were laughing. And I was.
He's a wonderful dude.
He's the best. And I was like, I know.
He's one of your best buddies.
One of my best
right?
friends
Yeah.
now. So the end of this, it's a nice end because we now laugh about that story.
So I ran into you. So we would bump into each other. We did Idiocracy. I'm trying to think where I ran into you that you told me the story. Well, here's my memory is that you and I at the exact same time were both dating really famous women.
Okay.
And I'm not talking about Kristen.
Okay.
And I ran into you.
I was with Helen Mirren.
Oh my God. Good for you.
Oh, what a brilliant.
Good for her.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there's two things. Let's just say that you were in Michigan.
Yeah.
Your girlfriend was making a movie in Michigan.
Well, I was too, actually. She was making a different movie. She was.
Oh, you were making a movie as well.
I was making a movie in Birmingham.
And you went out drinking somewhere in Birmingham.
Yeah. I feel kind of okay telling this because it's been so long. And I'm with you, and you've lulled me into a state of honesty.
Yeah.
So charming and vulnerable. And big,
Scary,
yeah, imposing, but lovable. Yeah, I was in Birmingham, and I had been out. It was at a time in my life, and I'm sure this happened to you around that time, where things started to get weird in terms of people recognizing me, I guess. And it was. I hate.
Well, a lot of it because you were in a really public relationship.
Yes,
right.
Yes, it's not because of the BAFTA award-winning work I was doing. It was, I was just in these,
tabloids and stuff,
which I didn't have much of except for the photographers around. I wasn't looking at that stuff, and this.
All right, great. So we differ already.
Yeah.
So I too was in tabloids at that time for my famous girlfriend. I was aware of it, and I saw it, and this was 13 years ago.
Yeah.
I was thrilled. I thought it was. I'd be lying if like my dad would call and be like, "Yeah, I'm at the checkout line at Walmart, and you're fucking in a swimsuit, looking good." And I was like,
really?
This is awesome. This is what being famous is like.
Oh, funny. I hate,
because those magazines were proving to the world that I deserve someone like her, and so I was letting it fill me up.
Interesting.
My self-esteem.
Yeah. I'm sure I got some injection of that. I'm sure that did.
Yeah,
for me. I mean,
it's hard not to, right?
Of course,
because it's the most popular cheerleader in school.
Totally, and I'm the 4'9" guy. Who the football team. Totally, but
that's not to say you were with her because of that. That whole part of it to me got real confusing in a hurry.
Oh, interesting. I wanted that gone.
I
hate. Yes.
Because you felt like it was impacting the relationship?
Well, I hated what it did to her.
Right.
First of all, just the threat of these fucking guys speeding through red lights and stuff was this person that I cared so much about. I was protective. So I hated them. I hated any of the byproduct of that. I hated the fact that my mother was sort of into... I call it like supermarket bragging, where my mom would love to go to the supermarket and run into people.
Loiter.
Totally.
Yeah.
Even after we broke up, she would send me, to this day, my grandmother sends me, did you hear that so-and-so's doing a movie with, I'm like, we broke up and they're still into it.
It's exciting.
It's exciting. And
it's very exciting.
Totally.
So for me, the added layer that made it complicated, and I felt like when I saw you, I didn't assume to know anything about you, but I remember just being honest with you about me, which was, I remember kind of being done with the relationship and in my mind going, well, when we break up, I certainly know what the story will be. The story will be that this person dumped me and I am a piece of shit.
Yes.
And of course it was a mistake. She should have never been with him. This whole narrative spun out in my head where I felt like maybe I was willing to stay in it longer just so that part didn't happen.
That is incredibly honest of you.
And I saw you one point and I said, I don't know what your experience is like, but just me, I felt like I'd be the loser that everyone was like, oh, that person finally woke up. He had no business being with her. And my own, like the shame of that kept me less than objective.
It must have factored in.
Yeah.
But I think the difference is that not having that tabloid stuff around was actually like really, it was really nice. It was but then I went on to, I got back into relationships that were with people that had that kind of status. So it may have, and it's something I've talked about in therapy, it may be,
It's a very...
pattern.
Yeah.
Well, it's a very bizarre, unique situation to find oneself in, where you're like with somebody you knew when you were young and felt on the outside of something.
Yes.
I don't know who can navigate that flawlessly, but I certainly didn't.
Yeah, but the difference, we got along so well. I really loved being around her. And to this day is one of my favorite people. And I never really, it's weird, I never had all that many preconceived notions about her. Now, I'm not going to pretend like, when I fantasized about becoming an actor, I didn't think about being in movies and like a red carpet and being in a magazine.
Yeah.
Shit, of course. And it's a little embarrassing to admit now, but there was a time where that fed me, and I thought it was cool.
It was very exciting. You wouldn't be human if it'd be a character failing if you still cherish that 20 years in. You'd have to do some self-reflection.
Right.
But it would almost, it would suck if you didn't enjoy that at the beginning.
Yeah.
But we got to get back to the story.
Yes.
Sorry.
So you were in Michigan and you went out for a cocktail.
Okay, so we because this was the digression, right? I was saying that things in my life had been changing and people had been looking. I mean, it made me feel really uncomfortable, and it was a weird place to be. So I would go to, my routine was like, when I go to the bar, I would take 2 shots of Jameson just to kind of just to get into the weirdness. Because this was Birmingham, Michigan, where if you did an episode of Law and Order, people were like, "Who? Oh shit, that's the guy who was on the show."
Yep.
So
it's like Michael Jackson's there.
Yes.
I always tell Kristen, we should move home. We could be the Brad and Angelina if we just stayed there.
Oh,
We'd
my
really
God.
be.
Oh, that'd be
You're
fun for her.
basically the Brad and Angelina of Los Angeles.
Shut up. I don't know. Forget I said it.
hate
Anyways, okay.
Go on.
Sorry.
So I had gone out with Steve Buscemi a couple nights earlier. And Steve gets it worse than anyone I've ever seen because he's got such a recognizable face.
Again, you don't go, oh, that guy looks like him. Because nobody looks like him.
Right.
Yep.
Yes. Totally. So we had been out and...
That guy looks like Andre the Giant.
Right. Is that Manute Bol? Oh, no.
That guy looks like Manute Bol.
Another 7'9" guy with a thick African accent.
Yeah. It got so crazy that night that they put us, and Steve is the nicest guy and very humble. But so people were coming up to him, and they had to move us into like a back room just so we could hang out. And ironically, and I'll get to why it's ironic, but Steve told me the story about the night
North Carolina,
when he was jumped with Vince Vaughn. And if you don't know this, maybe you could talk about it because I don't want to take
sure.
on the fact check.
But he got stabbed, right?
He got stabbed.
Oh.
Steve got stabbed,
right?
He got stabbed in the neck, I think.
in
the head and the neck. And they came within like a millimeter of his jugular.
Oh my God.
Vince got jumped. It's a crazy story.
Yeah.
So he was telling me that, and the lesson being, he was seeing how accommodating I was being with people. I wanted people, because
You want him to like you.
I want people to like me. It's something I still haven't really overcome. Working on it. He was imparting this lesson to me, and
like have boundaries, have normal boundaries.
Exactly, because I was feeling guilty that, I sent those people away and I didn't give them enough, and they were, So a couple nights later, I came back to the bar, and it's fairly empty, and it was my last night of shooting this movie, and I went out with one of the actresses and these two PAs, a guy and a girl. And of course, I go to the bar, get my 2 shots, and these guys sidle up next to me. I just remember the feeling of, this sounds so new agey, but they had this weird energy, dark energy. Mm-hmm. And they said, what happened to you the other night, Mr. Big Shot? And I said, what do you mean? You guys were moved into some like fancy area? Like, this is our fucking bar, bro. And I said, of course I'm so, and they played right into my vulnerability, which was, I'm just like you. I grew up in a town like this. And I said, I'm so sorry. Let's do a shot together. And they're like, all right, man. And they must have sensed that was my weakness, because they kept coming over to our table and, you guys know the Big Shot, huh, Mr. Hollywood? And I was like, no, I'm not. I'm like, so at the end of the night, we were there for a couple hours, and I was a little, buzzed, and we were leaving, and the guys said, it was 2 a.m. in Birmingham, and they said, do you want to go to a casino? We're going to a casino, and thank God the actress said, no, I'm going to go home, and the PA said, yeah, we'll go, and I was eager to go because I love playing blackjack, and I hadn't been there. I hadn't been to those Detroit casinos, and I thought 2 a.m, kind of drunk with strangers, was a good time to go.
Yeah.
So I'm headed to the PA's car, and they said, I'll call them townies for the sake of the story.
Sure.
I hope that's not pejorative.
No, that's great.
The townie said, why don't we all take the same car? PA's were like, no. I said, yeah. And they said, what, you think we're going to do something to the Hollywood? And I said, yeah, guys, come on, we're all going in the same car. We got into their car. They dropped me off at the hotel for a second to get my per diem to gamble with. Got back in. We're heading to the casino. They said, we're going to
really quick. When you're in your room, is any part of you going, no?
Nope.
Okay. Great.
Nope. Which is crazy.
Okay.
No. Good question. No, I'm like, where's my money? These guys are waiting for me. I don't want them to think I'm a, Hollywood diva.
Hot shot Hollywood diva.
Keeping them waiting. Yeah. So I run out to the car. I got my money, and they stop at their condo. They said, we're going to make a stop. I forget why. And as we were going in, I remember they made a big deal about take your shoes off, going quiet. They had a roommate that was sleeping. Took my shoes off. They took out a bong and they passed it to me. They lit it, and I said, "Oh no, I'm okay. I want to have my wits about me because I play blackjack." And they said, "Are you fucking kidding, bro? And then now you're not going to smoke with us, bro? Come on." So there I go.
Everything's like a huge test.
Yeah.
You're failing a test.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And
I knew you were a piece of shit.
Yeah. Confirmed.
Yeah, confirmed. Yeah.
So of course I smell. I take a big hit of this, and the second it hits my mouth, I know the taste was kind of chemically, kind of clear tasting is the best way I can describe it. And I ripped this crazy hit, and my mind, I just remember the feeling of like immediately losing control of my body. Not to the point where I shit my pants, but like...
I wish.
I wish. I know. Maybe I did. We can add it.
You just say that you did.
Yeah, so I shit my pants.
So,
great.
Step 1, shit my pants.
You can fact check that.
Yeah.
You'll find out I did shit my pants. But I could. My mind wasn't working. It was the strangest thing.
You think it was angel dust?
Well, I've since told this story to people there's one guy in particular in private security, and he thought it was PCP.
Yeah, that's...
Is that the same thing?
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
So I'm panicking, and
but the PAs didn't smoke weed.
The girl did.
Okay.
And she, like this.
Oh, boy.
Looks like a demented, like some cartoon character, like a Tasmanian, like Ren and Stimpy, kind of like frighteningly over the top. And I'm not thinking to myself, do I look like this?
Right.
Because I feel like that.
Yeah.
And the guy didn't. He hadn't been drinking, was he saying much. Then I passed the bong back to the 2 townies, and they were studying me, kind of like, and look, and looking at each other like conspiratorially, like, is it working kind of thing. And I said, are you going to smoke? But it probably came out like, is somebody going to straight? And they said, no, bro, we're straight. Are you cool? Is everything okay? That kind of thing. Frightening.
And you're probably having a hard time navigating what's now paranoia and what's really happening.
Totally.
Yeah.
Oh, crap.
Because your spidey senses are going bonkers now that they gave you something that they're not doing.
Yes.
But you're also going, fuck, but maybe I'm being paranoid.
There's a part of me that is. I'm like hoping.
Yeah.
That's the drug.
Yeah.
That's just the drug.
Yeah.
Then they say, and it keeps getting worse. Then they say, oh, let's go get Sean. Let's go wake up Sean. I said, no. I said, the roommate, don't get him. I thought you were sleeping. Don't get. One of them stood up to go get the roommate, and I stood up. And the remaining townie started doing these karate kicks at my face, like it was like in Boogie Nights, where that crystal meth scene where and he was saying things like, whoa, bro, sit down, calm down. Karate kicks at my face, and the roommate came out fully dressed, wasn't sleeping.
Oh boy!
And he said, "I'll never forget." He said, "Oh yeah, you're right. That is the guy. Let me go get my camera."
Oh,
yeah.
This is a horror story, by the way.
Yeah,
Did I not tell you
Yeah.
this?
I didn't know. I'm gonna have nightmares.
Yeah. You
We're
want
not even to the punchline.
Yeah, it's a punchline. So now I'm fully panicking, and this is before everyone had cameras with them. Mercifully,
This is like 13 years ago.
this is 2007.
Okay.
It was 2 days before
12 years ago.
July. Yeah, for there's July 2nd. Not that I remember.
Aaron Weekly's birthday. Okay.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and he was there. He could have rescued you.
Oh my
Right.
god!
And he would have loved to have too. He would have
needed him.
He would have come in like a whirling dervish. and
We
just
could have had
started
a
dropping
threesome
guys.
after.
Yes.
So I convinced them, the two, to drive me back. And they were guilting me the whole time, and saying things like, what about you can't handle your weed, bro? What about that movie you did, Strange Wilderness? They kept mentioning this movie, Strange Wilderness. And we get in the car. I'm in the back seat with the two PAs, the girls next to me. So the two guys are driving. They're in front. And they were kind of whispering back and forth. And they're texting somebody. And they're saying things like, yeah, I think, I could hear snippets like, okay, we're coming over. We got it. And they would lean back to me and say, "It's all right, bro. We're gonna make one more stop, and that'll be it. Okay, okay, Justin." Then they started saying like,
Okay, Strange Wilderness.
"Yeah, they started saying like, how about we make another movie? You want to be in a movie for TMZ or YouTube?"
my
and
God.
yeah, and I'm panicking, and the girl, it senses that I'm panicking. It was probably clearly like I'm freaking out, and I remember this is the worst part. She leaned forward to them and said, I could hear everything. What are you guys doing? He's freaking out. Don't do this to him. Why are you doing this? And they said, shut the fuck up. We know what we're doing. We're doing this thing. We got it. We got it under control. And she leaned back to me and she goes, it's okay, Justin. They said they were going to take you home. Everything's going to be fine, And now she's the girl, as is the silent other PA, who they're in the kidnapping movie. They're the ones who are like, guys, we're not really doing this, are we? Come on.
Right.
Because they were locals. I didn't really know that. I've been working with them for 2 weeks and I liked them, but
Yeah.
I didn't really know them. And
Sure.
so now I think I'm going to die. I mean, that's where I went. And they started saying, how much money did you take out for the casino? How much money you got on you?
Oh.
So I'm like, oh, fuck. And I almost thought, I thought about giving them the money. But this was also my body at this point. The idea of taking out my phone and dialing numbers is an impossible feat.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So I'm just like, I don't know what to do. So I started like freaking out, punching the seat in front of me. And the worst part was they tried to mollify me. They were like, okay, Justin, calm down. We're going to take you back. It's going to be okay. And sure enough, and I knew the town well enough to know they had been going in the wrong direction. And then they reversed course and they started going back to the Townsend Suites, back to my hotel. And I was somewhat relieved. And I remember thinking, okay, thank God. They were fucking with me. They just wanted to see me scared or whatever. And so they started going up to the hotel. They slowed down. And I'm thinking, here we go. And they kept going. Yeah. And I said, what are you doing? It was back there. It's okay. We're just going to make one more stop. There was that. They wanted me calm. And that was the scariest part.
Yeah.
So then I saw a red light coming up. And there was no one. It's 3 a.m. now.
Yeah.
There's no one on the road. So I'm coming up to this red light. And I think, okay, I'm going to get out. And I'll just run to the whatever. And they go right through the red light.
Oh, they blew the
red lights. Stop signs. They turned the corner. And they're going about 35 miles. I open the door and I jump out
of a fucking movie car like The Fall Guy.
Oh my god!
Yeah,
Colt Seavers.
Yes, yeah. But and I'd seen it on TV and in the movies and all.
You just roll.
You
right?
roll. You don't land on your feet unless you're Spider-Man.
Yeah.
So I rolled and of course I rolled under the car and they ran over my leg, totally over my leg. And then I roll more. And I just remember,
God.
yeah, it should have been what the fuck. But I just remember thinking, It was one of the happiest moments of my life. I remember right after I got run over, I stood up and my leg was like, it just bent, twisted. And I remember looking down. My first thought was I looked down at my jeans. And this is a weird thought for me because I care about as little about fashion as you can. And I remember looking down and seeing blood just pooling, like seeping out of the sides of my leg onto my jeans and thinking, oh, I love those jeans. I ruined these jeans, which is so weird. I don't have an attachment to, but also filled with the being alive.
Relief,
free,
free, and that swing. I'll never forget that.
And they just kept fucking motoring, right?
Well,
they don't want to deal with having run you over.
Well, I don't know that at this point, and I had seen a car coming, headlights coming, and I'm hobbling toward it, flag it down, and weirdly it was a cab. And I got in the cab and I locked the door and I said, take me to the Townsend Suites. It's right. And I remember the cab driver.
I got to get these pants in salt water and cold water.
I got to save my jeans. And the guy was like, what is going, and I'm not being racist. He had an accent, I remember. But what is happening? Get out of my cab. He didn't want me in there. And I must have had the craziest energy,
Sure. PCP, broken leg.
Oh my God.
I've been captive.
Kidnapped.
You're like the woman leaving a room with your child.
Yes. Oh my
God.
God.
And then the PAs came up. He wasn't moving. And the PAs came up and I'm panicking. I'm thinking, what if they come after me now? And they did. The two PAs came up and started banging on the window. They were freaking, especially the girl with PCP in her system was freaking out.
Yeah.
And I remember she kept saying, and this is just what she said. She said, repeating, I thought we killed a movie star. I thought we killed a movie star. Oh my God. And the guy was kind of freaked, the one who had been kind of calm, and he was freaking out, and oh my God. And now I'm picturing like the driver telling this story, like his point of view.
Oh, I would love to hear the sober person. Yeah.
This little shit.
Yeah, like literally it could have been like, so these dudes want to stop and get Coney dogs, and fucking Justin jumps out of the car. I like that.
Those guys.
Yeah, no.
I was thinking about the cab driver.
Oh, I'm talking about the sober PA.
Totally.
Who's probably like, these dudes want to stop and get a couple chili dogs on the way downtown, and fucking long bolts out of the moving car.
Yeah, everything was innocent.
It could have been.
They're like, how much money? You got enough money for a dog?
Yeah, they're worried about you. Like, do you need money for a camp?
Do you want us to spot you for black? Totally. It was all in my head. But so I saw
so
that
they let them out.
Yes.
They said you can go.
Yes. Yeah. Then
they probably wanted to run.
I would imagine.
Like they had some harebrained scheme.
Get out of here.
Yes.
Yeah.
And now he's hurt, and now you're talking about jail.
Yeah, they must have been freaked out. So I made my way back to.
But really quick, why get out of the cab?
He wasn't driving. He wasn't going anywhere.
Oh, he didn't want to deal with it.
No, and I got the sense then that they were safe. By their react, they seemed safe at that point.
Okay.
And I was so close to the hotel, and he wasn't moving, so I had no real choice.
Right.
So I go back. I wake up 6 hours later in more pain than I've ever been in, and blood all over the sheets. And
oh boy,
I made my way to a doctor. I
hope they weren't Brook Linens. Hate to see a set of Brook Linens go down.
Is that that's a sponsor? That's right. So yeah, and then
do you go to the hospital?
I don't.
Okay, good.
I went to a doctor.
Oh, you did. Okay.
I don't know why I hesitated. I was thinking about something else. I went to a doctor and he x-rayed it and no broken bones, which is crazy.
That's great.
But such bad nerve damage that to this day, and I never dealt with it because a couple days later I went through a breakup. So I was dealing with like this
shame, probably, right? Yeah.
Sure.
You've embarrassed this woman.
Yeah.
You're supposed to be
responsible and taking care of my shit. But also for me, it was so out of nowhere that in the wake of this thing, when I was supposed to be healing the leg, I was just dealing with the emotional. And I remember the funny little like addendum. I had to do one of those Mac commercials afterwards, like a week after, and my leg was like swollen out to here to the point where they had to get special jeans for me.
Wow, big calf guy jeans.
Yes, yeah, totally. My buddy Scott Speedman. I don't know if you know.
I love him so much. Talk about a guy that'll make you not feel handsome.
I know, right?
Ooh.
I know, God.
Wow, is he beautiful?
Yeah. My grandmother, who I had never seen behave in any way sexually, thank God. She's like, thank God, Scott. It was so creepy. He was like 93 at the time.
And a mess downstairs. That's when you know you're hot, when old gals are like, things are waking up. Things are offline for 2 decades.
So he really helped me out during that time. It was so sudden, this thing. I was so confused by it that I was asking everyone for advice. You know those moments where you're like, you get in a cab in New York, and they're like, "How are you, sir? Where are you going?" Not too good, Jarmusch. I'm going through this thing, and I was just desperate for like information. And so,
Jarmusch, have you ever dated like an A-list celebrity by chance?
So, in fact, when I had to drive to the airport right after the breakup, I'm going back to the airport, and it's in somewhere, and I couldn't get a flight out. I remember it was July 4th, and I couldn't find any flights. I found a flight in somewhere in Ohio, and I'm driving. It was the first day I could put a little pressure on the old foot, and I got the crutches in the back, and I got lost. It was before the GPS, but I remember driving, and the sun was setting. It was beautiful out, and that song, that Coldplay song, La Vida,
yeah.
I see Mission of Bells. It was, I love it. It was such an uplifting, and there were little firework displays going off in these small town America, and it was, I felt so, I have these moments. I had one today driving down Sunset, and the sky was so dramatic, so beautiful, and that where I feel so grateful to be alive, and I just almost died 2 days earlier, and I was like, I'm gonna be okay,
right?
I'm alive and free. Yeah. A weeks later, Speedman's helping me out, licking my wounds and trying to make sense of it. And I'm doing this an Apple commercial, and James Carville was the guest that day.
Wow, the Raging Cajun.
The Raging Cajun.
I love the Raging Cajun.
Yes, and he said, he kept calling everyone Haas. He said, "How you doing, Haas?" And I was like, "Well, not too good, James Carville."
Hello, person I'm just meeting.
Yeah. And I was like, "This is a girl just broke up." But then he did say something that was kind of useful, and it turned out to be, in fact, be right. He said, because he's such a statistician, he said, "Also, you got to look at it like she broke up with you, right? She gonna look back. There's a 25% chance she gonna look back and months later after she's done with this job trying to take you back, right? She gonna want you back. And of that 25, there's a 50% chance you're gonna want to go back with her. So the way I see it, there's a 12.5% chance y'all gonna get back together anyway. So you better not cry about it till then." And I was
By the way, that's a pretty great Carville. Yeah,
but he turned out to be right. There was he was right. But then the next guest was Tony Robbins.
Oh,
I'm not kidding.
I love him.
And he did the same thing to me. "Hey, Justin, nice to meet you. How's it going?" "Well, not too good, Tony Robbins." And of course, I unload on him. And he gave me the most advice. He went on and on about this really great stuff. And he took the time to direct these pearls of wisdom. I mean, and all I heard in my head, all I was thinking was, fuck this guy. What does he know? He's like this massive, handsome horse, this like horseman with these big hands. He probably has a huge dick, and he's got this beautiful family.
Yeah.
What does he know about what I'm going through?
Right.
I was so angry and like to cut off from his.
Easy for him to say.
Yeah. About 2 months later, when I was coming out of it, a month later, I got a package from him in the mail. This is one of the nicest things that anyone's given me to this day, and it was an iPod, which I thought was weird at the time because I was like, well, strange that he would give me an iPod. Doesn't he? He probably assumes that I get at least a discount.
Yeah.
But so, and I kind of set it aside. I was like, that's really nice. And I then plugged it in at one point, and I realized that it was all of his stuff that he had programmed onto it.
Wow.
It was really sweet. And all of his advice and stuff that I've since have been listening to.
It's pretty great, right?
Pretty great.
All in all, I think he's mostly about being honest with yourself.
Yes, that's
right?
the kind of stuff.
Which is tricky and harder to do than you would think, than we give it credit for. Now, what is your relationship with partying in general?
Yeah.
Because you like to do it, and from the outside, it doesn't seem like you have any wreckage or consequences or anything. Is it anything that you evaluate or think about? Or
yes, and there was a time where I was drinking too much, I think.
Oh, okay.
In fact, there are movies I look back on and think, I really regret having gone out the night before. I should have cherished what I was doing a little bit more, been more respectful of it, and buttoned it up a little bit.
It's interesting, though, because that's one way to look at it. But another way to look at it would be, no, your real life isn't the fucking movie that comes out.
I know.
Your real life isn't the poster.
Well,
your real life is making that movie. And if you were like just elated and joy filled and wanted to go out and play with your cast members and have fun, maybe that's more important on your deathbed.
Maybe, but not definitely. In fact, I think, but not to the detriment of the work. And that's when it got in. Like Waiting is a perfect example because we were because we were out. It was New Orleans. It was the first time I'd been to New Orleans, and we were going out every night. But we justified it because it takes place over the course of one day after the night of this big party. So we were like, we're method.
Yeah, this works.
Yeah. But I look back at that movie and I think, oh man, I'm sleepwalking through it. I also have such great memories of that movie.
I have a real quick question, but you're so good at impressions. I mean, I didn't know that was a thing. I didn't know that was a thing about you. I guess I should have known. That's a thing people know.
That's nice. Yeah, I like that. I like doing. It's people also that I admire. I'm gonna work on you because I've been listening to you so much.
Do you go home and like kind of do their voices, or like Kristen has a mimicry thing?
Yes,
hers is actually
Instant.
a tick. Where and Monica can substantiate this. When we watched these shows together, and anyone who's got an accent or anyone who has a weird speech pattern, she repeats it quietly, and she doesn't think we can hear it, but we can, and we love it. And she gets embarrassed, but she has to repeat everything.
God,
is this the same?
I can't love her more. It's similar. In fact, it's more embarrassing because I do it with people in public. I do it. I just worked in London for that, and they have the whole makeup and hair trailer had the best accents, ranging. They were in the Yorkshire. There were like people from up there, and there were Liverpool. There were Liverpudlians, and I loved the different. Charlie Creed Miles, this actor who had he was proper East. Oh mate, I got fucking stabbed. Real proper, fucking great. And I would, if they say, do you want it short on the? Do you like it short on the side? I go, short on the side. I'll say it out loud. I do it more to the people, and it can cause it can lead to some
a little awkward.
But I just love the sound. I have to tell you this before I go. When you had Kristen on, I was so curious to see, because you prefaced that first episode by saying something along the lines of, I thought about not including this. I thought about not airing this, and I was so curious to hear what your version of a bad exchange or something that you were insecure about to the point where you almost didn't release it.
Well, I by no means think it was like a bad fight. We have bad fights in real life. So I didn't think it was that.
Right.
But I definitely thought, this thing people like about Kristen and I is I give her a sloth, she cries. You know, like they have this idea of what we are, which is always funny and getting along.
Yeah.
And it was very much a power struggle the first half. And then it found its way out, which was great. But mostly my own embarrassment. I wasn't necessarily critical of her, but I just felt like I was so controlling in that because I could sense what she thought was happening, which was I was going to try to get her to admit something or tell some story she's never done, which I wouldn't try to do. Yeah. So I was frustrated her guard was up.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, what the how could you think I would ambush you? So I'm now defensive, and then I'm like trying to control this thing.
Okay. To me, it felt like there was something so romantic about it. I love seeing couples fight well, or hearing, in this case, hearing it. And not that you were fighting, but there was any discord at all. Tension.
Yeah.
And there was something so romantic about the ease with which you guys navigated that. Mm-hmm. And I could tell there was frustration, and I could tell that was clear. But at one point she said to you, I love you. Kept checking in, like, I love you. And it wasn't a throwaway thing. It meant something. And I love you even when you're annoying. And that's what's great about listening to you guys. There's something so romantic about that. Couples that can fight well and can navigate. I felt like I'd be remiss if I didn't.
Monica and I practice quite often as well on here.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it makes people scared when we fight.
People don't like it when we fight. When mom and dad are
fight.
Yeah.
But we find our way back.
Only if we don't end with "I love you." We got a lot. That happened one time, and we got a lot of comments.
Oh, interesting.
We were mad at each other, though.
Oh, yeah.
So it wasn't. They were right.
We've been mad at each other several times.
Mm-hmm.
But I'd say that's positive.
Yeah,
that means I very much care if she's disappointed in me, and she cares if I'm disappointed in her.
Yes.
So if she's disapproving, I don't. I'm panicked that she must not be understanding what I'm saying correctly, and then I'm frustrated because there's no way you would think this about me if you really knew it. Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I'm so glad you came in because I really adore you, and I always have.
Thanks.
Well, I love you, Justin.
I love you.
You're so fun and wonderful in your voices, and
seriously, I really am such a fan of yours and yours together, and I love listening to you guys. You've really kept me company I so appreciate it. But yeah,
All
I
right,
can't
we will
wait
do
to
this again soon.
It'd be great.
All right.
Yeah.
Love you, Justin.
Yeah.
And now my favorite part of the show, the fact check with my soulmate, Monica Padman. I'm gonna suck Jan's dick down on Old Town
that?
Road.
Why'd you
I'm
keep
gonna
doing?
slurp until I can't no more.
Oh,
I'm gonna
wow.
suck Jan's dick down on Old Town Road. I'm gonna slurp until I can't no more. You really tried to talk me out of that song. You think it's divisive?
I'm not leaving that
Yes,
in.
you are.
No, I'm not. I also chewed throughout the whole thing because I.
That's okay. That'll help distract people from the lyrics.
No, this isn't. No.
Why can't I sing a song about slurping someone's dong? No one knows who I'm talking about.
Yes, they do. They'll clearly
Ow.
put two and two together.
No.
Start over.
No.
Yes.
All right. I'm going to suck Mike's dick down on Old Town Road. I'm going to stroke until I can't no more.
Oh my
Even worse?
God. Well, yeah, because then you added a hand gesture.
Well, isn't that a handy is less advanced?
Who's Mike in that scenario?
You fill in like whatever Mike you want it to be.
Okay, that's nice.
Magic Mike? Oh. What if you're like, no, everyone will know it's Magic Mike.
Mike, it's so obvious you're talking about Chan.
And everyone knows he lived on Old Town Road.
Okay,
Welcome.
I'm here today with a beautiful manicure.
Oh, yes. And I failed the test.
Yeah, I asked if you liked it, and you said, no, I hate it.
No, I said I liked it.
Yeah, but you didn't know what it
But
was.
then you tested me. You said, which side is better or something.
I didn't.
You held up both hands and I couldn't tell the difference.
Yeah, I said, can you tell a difference between this and this? And
Yeah.
you said no.
It's basically the Ponzi pit of questions. I was doomed
The
to
peach pit?
to fall into those bamboo spikes.
Oh.
You know, little leaves covering up the hole.
Sure.
Sure.
Quicksand?
Yeah. You and I, remember we were just talking about whether quicksand's real or not.
Yeah, it was so scary.
It was such a huge plot point in the 80s. Every show someone got
Fell into
trapped.
quicksand.
Yep. Gilligan's Island, I think the Brady Bunch. A lot of cartoons rely on that.
In my prayers, a section of my prayer is natural disasters or diseases. And included in that is quicksand.
Was quicksand.
Yeah.
It was, I guess, it was pandemic quicksand in the 80s and 90s.
It got eradicated, I guess.
Maybe it's one of the few benefits of global warming. Maybe it dried up.
Maybe.
You don't ever hear that.
Maybe.
Yeah.
You never hear the positive side of
You
global
never do.
warming. We're
Yeah.
here to bring it to the masses.
There will be positive parts of it. That's what no one wants to talk about.
Well,
It's true.
maybe. What?
Yeah. More rain in California. That's one of the
I
outcomes.
don't think that's positive at all.
For the number one food growing state in the country, it's probably good that we have rain.
acid
We're feeding the
rain.
whole, geez, acid rain. I don't think it is.
I think I used to be afraid of acid rain.
Well, that was
too.
another big thing in the 80s and 90s. It was ruining the
Yeah.
finishes of cars, the clear coat.
Yeah.
Car lovers around the world were panicked about it. Forget what it was saying about what was in the clouds. It was more about just that finish.
Yeah. So Justin,
Mm-hmm.
he came in here.
He was here.
Yeah, I missed the beginning of the episode.
Yeah, what were you busy
Came
doing?
in late. I had a couple auditions.
Oh, a couple auditions.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he was actually very upset you weren't here when he
Right.
arrived.
Well, what's funny is that's all recorded.
Oh, okay, that's great.
So I went back and I listened, obviously, because I
Oh.
edited this. So when
Yeah.
I started, I got to hear all of that. There was some nice stuff. But really, the only thing I remember,
Uh-oh.
because this is how it goes, right?
Yeah, 10 great things and then one.
And this is not anything he did. But you guys were talking about my grandma.
Oh, uh-huh.
And then he said, in one of the episodes, I said something like, well, I don't look like her. And then you were like, but you're very pretty. And then he was like laughing and he was like, I don't think you were picking up on, which I don't think that's true either. I don't think I was trying to get you to say that I looked like her. I don't look like her. And then you said, well, yeah, Monica is gorgeous, but she does not look like her grandma. And I don't look like her, but for some reason, I didn't like that.
You didn't like it. Okay.
I mean, I did not like it. I wasn't a
You look just like your grandma.
no.
No, I won't lie to you. You don't look like your grandma, and you're gorgeous.
Thank you.
And you're not as gorgeous as your grandma. I'm sorry. No woman is.
I know. I don't ever need to hear you say that. I know it's the truth.
Well, but no woman is as gorgeous as your grandma. Not a single woman to ever live other than your grandma. She's the only 100% 0.00. She's a goddess.
Sure.
Yeah.
It can be true, and I also don't need to hear that.
Right. I understand what you're saying. I won't say it again. Also, if you said my Papa
you're
Bob,
not as attractive as your grandma.
No. If you said my Papa Bob was more handsome than me, I'd be really happy for my Papa Bob.
Okay,
because he's just such a sweetheart. Mm-hmm. Apparently, your grandma's a bitch. That's what I just learned.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Just because you would take it that way doesn't mean that the way I took it is
incorrect.
wrong.
No. I'm only letting you in on how it would never cross my mind that could be offensive because I'm coming from a place where I would love it if you said Papa Bob was handsome.
I know. Well, I love when you say that about my grandma. It's only when you get compared. Yeah.
That's right.
I already, of course, wish I looked just like her.
We all want to look just like her. I want to look just like her. I would be the biggest
but she's
movie
my grandma.
star.
Like, I've grown up with her as a person.
A real person.
Yeah.
Yeah. I will say this about Papa Bob. Okay. Much better biceps than me.
Yeah, you've talked about that.
Humongous.
Yeah.
2 bowling balls.
Sure.
He also had a big, fat fucking stomach.
Yeah, you're probably happy you don't have that.
Well, no, because he basically has, I always say I wish I had Delta's 3-year-old body.
Yeah.
Where she had a big, taut beer belly.
Yeah.
It didn't jiggle. It was just this big dome.
Yeah.
And then these built shoulders, like fucking ripped deltoids, strong back.
Yeah, she
looked like she could power lift, like a strong man.
Yeah.
When we dressed her as one on Halloween one year, made her go as a strong man with a little mustache, and she had a little dumbbell.
She is.
Anywho,
so
Papa Bob
special.
had much better biceps. He was probably, I'd guess, at his height, he was probably about 280 pounds. Never, ever, ever went up from a size 31-inch waist pants. So he had this huge upper body, this big belly, and then this narrow waist.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very unique.
Yeah.
And what do you always say? Rare.
Exclusive.
Exclusive. It was a very exclusive build.
Yeah. Limited edition build. Speaking of that, you said that there's no one in your family who's lived past 40.
That was a joke.
That was a joke and a lie.
It was a lie joke.
Okay, so since his dad went to seminary.
Mm-hmm.
His dad went to become a priest, but then he left. And then you said there has to have been a movie where a guy gets lured out
by a
woman. I couldn't really find one where a guy was in seminary and got pulled out, but there are 2 pieces of art that people can consume if they like this idea. One is called The Crime of Padre Amaro. It has Gael Garcia Bernal in it.
Oh, very sexy actor.
Very, yes.
It's very sexual.
It's a lot of sex tension with him.
Exudes it.
So this is about Father Amaro, a young Roman Catholic priest, is a new arrival in a small Mexican town.
Ooh.
Assigned to help the old Father Benito, Amaro gradually discovers that his elder is not only involved in an affair, but also building a hospital with help from a local drug czar.
That's a weird plot.
Struggling with temptation and sin.
Whoa.
Wait, I'm not done.
Okay.
Struggling with temptation and sin in his own right, Amaro begins a romance with Amelia, a beautiful teen who dotes on him, but the relationship has dire consequences.
Wow, this is a murky plot.
It sure is.
The wording was weird there. It goes he discovers he's having an affair and building a hospital. I'm like, well, that's great. There's nothing to hide there. And then, from drug money. Let me say this.
Uh-oh.
I want to say this. Okay. This is one big pet peeve of mine.
Okay.
People think they're burning someone when they found out they took money from so-and-so. Like they took money from, there's always left and the right. They're always doing this. Like so-and-so took money from so-and-so. And they're very disapproving of the people they got money from. Here's my point. I would way rather take money from my enemies than my friends. I want all my enemies' money. I want all the drug dealers' money. Give it all to me.
Okay, yes, but then you're tied to them.
No, that's a separate thing. Now, if your accusation is you're in the pocket of the mob.
That's what it means.
It doesn't mean that, though. I could easily go tell jokes at the new ruler of Saudi Arabia. I could be completely, unaligned with his politics. Go over there, tell jokes for his birthday party, take his $3 million. And he calls me and goes, now I need you to say that you think women shouldn't go to school. I'll go, no, thanks.
Right. That is the problem with this. Maybe you wouldn't do that, but a lot of people do because they're working together in some way. Someone scratched their back and they got to,
One of the big things was
back.
Hillary gave speeches to Wall Street.
Yes.
Yes. So there was an exchange. Come give a speech. We'll give you this money.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't, we'll give you this money, stay at home, and then we'll call and we want a favor.
Yeah.
There's like a clear exchange there. I'd give a fucking speech to anybody with money.
Yeah. It just feels hypocritical to people.
It feels hypocritical, but I would argue it's not. Mm-hmm. Taking money from your adversaries is the smartest move you could make.
Look, I don't care about any of this, but I get the rationale behind this because then she's going to go and anti-corporation.
How about you're a priest and you take drug money to build a hospital? What is the moral dilemma there? Take some of that terrible money.
No, because now they're going to be entrenched in the drug war.
How? They're not. The drug lords aren't going to advertise. Well, this priest took our money, so I think maybe we should be able to deal drugs. That's a preposterous
notion. The drug
notion.
czar is now in charge of the hospital, and then he's going to have things he wants done.
Like what? His illegal drugs.
I haven't seen the movie. I don't know.
Okay.
Maybe that's
okay.
Yeah.
I think we should take all drug dealers' money and use it for good things.
Okay. You said you were curious. Is it easier to create memories when you're younger? Harvard Health Magazine.
Love that magazine.
Harvard Health. I don't know if it's a magazine. Scientists used to think, used and used. It's tricky.
I hate it.
Yeah.
There shouldn't be a past tense of used.
There should be something like a little pink dot before the U if you need to say it used or used.
There should be a pink dot for sure.
I'm gonna invent that.
That's
my invention.
Dot. Oh, well, you're going to have
a
trademark issue because Pink Dot is obviously a food delivery company.
It won't be called that. Scientists used to think that brain connections developed at a rapid pace.
Uh-oh. It was like one of these tragedies. Then you got a case of the giggles.
No,
get comfortable.
Okay, I'm not comfortable. Okay. Scientists, Pink Dot, used to think that brain connections developed at a rapid pace in the first few years of life until you reached your mental peak in your early 20s. Your cognitive abilities would level off at around middle age and then start to gradually decline. We now know this is not true. Instead, scientists now see the brain as continuously changing and developing across the entire lifespan. There is no period in life when the brain and its functions just hold steady. Some cognitive functions become weaker with age while others actually improve. Some brain areas, including the hippocampus, memory, shrink in size. The myelin sheath, you love the myelin sheath.
Well, that's what MS attacks.
That surrounds and protects nerve fibers wears down, which can slow the speed of communication between neurons. Some of the receptors on the surface of neurons that enable them to communicate with one another may not function as well as they once did. These changes can affect your ability to encode new information into your memory and retrieve information that's already in storage. On the other hand, the branching of the dendrites increases and connections between distant brain areas strengthen. These changes enable the aging brain to become better at detecting relationships between diverse sources of information, capturing the big picture, and understanding the global implications of specific issues. Perhaps this is the foundation of wisdom. It is as if with age, your brain becomes better at seeing the entire forest and worse at seeing the leaves.
Oh, your neural network improves, huh? That's cool. So I could have some increased cognitive abilities yet ahead of me. I assumed I was on my decline already.
Yeah, you'll have some wisdom to come. Okay, and speaking of, because you said myelin sheath and you said that affects MS.
Right.
So you said Michael J. Fox has MS. He has Parkinson's.
Okay.
So that's what he has.
Okay, great. Sorry, Michael J. Fox.
Do you think J is for Jackson?
Michael Jackson, Vincent Fox, President Vicente Fox.
Michael J. Fox.
Michael J. Fox, I'm sorry that I thought it was MS and it's Parkinson's.
You don't have to be sad about it.
Well, I'm regretful and I'm mourning my mistake.
His middle name's Andrew.
That makes zero sense.
Rob's just making stuff up now on here. That is not true.
Michael Andrew Fox, known professionally as Michael J. Fox.
Wow.
You know, maybe because Michael Andrew Fox was already in the Union.
Well, certainly Michael Fox was. So then he had to add a letter, and then there was probably a Michael A. Fox.
Maybe.
So then he went with Jackson.
Yeah. Okay, how big does the Bible say Noah's Ark is? Accordingly, Noah's instructions are given to him by God. The ark is to be 300 cubits long, 50 cubits wide, and 30 cubits high.
Oh, what's a cubits?
I guess it
Cubits
means...
zirconian?
Cubits means
Meter?
whatever you want it to mean. So how...
No.
Yes, it does.
No, it has to be a
that's
real...
why all those animals fit on that ark.
No, but listen, a cubits
It means
has...
infinite space.
No. A cubits must have originally have some kind of real dimension to it.
No.
1 foot 6 inches.
Times infinity. Yeah.
Mm.
Okay, so only 300 of those?
Yeah, probably not going to fit a blue whale on there.
No.
Although you don't have to put a blue whale on there if it's raining. It's not fair to say he had to save
I think
the blue
they
whales.
still had to come on the boat.
No, anything that was living in the water would just continue to live during the flood. He wouldn't have to get all the fish out of the boat.
That's true.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think they could really last a flood.
No, the bigger issue is like mammoth sloths in North America. Did he sail over here and get those and then bury the bone? It's very...
They Postmates'd them.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah. Okay, so the story about Steve Buscemi getting stabbed.
Oh.
I didn't get that much info, but actors Steve Buscemi and Vince Vaughn and screenwriter Scott Rosenberg were involved in a bar brawl last Thursday. Not last Thursday.
Not
this is
this
old
last
info.
Thursday.
Yeah. That resulted in 4 arrests and nearly killed Fargo star Buscemi. The Hollywood trio are currently filming the aptly named, domestic disturbance in Wilmington, North Carolina. 2 local men allegedly picked a fight with the filmmakers when one of their girlfriends began talking to swinger star Vaughn.
Yeah, this is what happens when
Too
I told you.
Too charismatic, gets you into trouble. A scuffle outside the bar is reported to have taken place at 2 a.m. The police on patrol broke it up, but not before Buscemi had been stabbed above the eye and in the jaw, throat, and arm.
Oh my gosh, throat and arm?
Ugh, he was taken to hospital. Vince was maced, according to reports. Timothy Fogarty, 21, was arrested and charged with assault with a deadly weapon for the Buscemi knifing. Another local man, 20-year-old Kenneth Purgason, was also arrested.
Yikes.
Eesh.
Well, they did not roll out the welcome mat for them in Wilmington.
No, they didn't. I doubt they'll
They
be returning
No,
to the first in flight state.
probably not.
Yeah.
First in fight?
What's the Coldplay song? Viva La Vida. Yeah. That's all.
That's it?
Yeah, there weren't that many.
Oh.
It was a very, in the best way, story-heavy episode.
Oh, those are the best
Oh,
kind,
so
aren't they?
fun. Memory roads you haven't even ever been down, but they're great.
Oh, they're still great roads.
They're beautiful roads.
I'm gonna slurp my
They're
stick
Old
down
Town
on Old
roads.
Town roads. I'm gonna stroke until I can't no more. Yeah, and so I'm bored of singing the real words, so I'm changing them. I'm changing the word. I have to do a certain face to talk like this, and it'll make you puke. It'd make you puke on your shirt.
I can see a little bit of your eyes, and they're
Yeah.
closed.
I gotta close them, or I can't do this voice.
Wow.
Yeah,
Oh, you're back.
I'm back. I guess I was always designed to be on radio because I couldn't do that character in a movie. My eyes would be closed the whole time.
That's true.
very true.
You found your place in the world.
I did. It was a circuitous route here.
Wow.
All right. Well, good night, and I love you, and thank you, Justin Long.
Thank you, Justin. Listen to Justin's pod.
Yeah, listen to his pod for a long time, but life is short. So, listen to it for a long time, but in a short life.
Is that what it's called?
It's called Life is Short with Justin Long.
Right.
There's a word play there, short and long.
I love a word play.
Me too. All right.
Okay.
Love
bye.
you.